Hello once more, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Evil Live. I'm your host, the Evil Tyrone, and this is a very special episode. I've been waiting on this episode for a minute now. This is the top 7 Paranormal Conspiracies episode. And I've got some very special people to join me. Some awesome content creators. I'm super excited to chat it up with these folks, and I'm a super big fan of everybody here. So let's get started with the introductions in no particular order. Let's see. We got MarkOEstes in the building. Welcome, Mark. Welcome. We can't up your mic off.
Hey everyone, how y'all doing?
What's up,
Sorry.
Mark? No problem. Thank you for joining us tonight, Mark. And chatting it up. MarkOEstes is a writer, slash podcaster. Check out his podcast, Midnight Social Distortion. Wherever you can soak up podcasts. And he's just an all around great guy in the horror community. Everybody loves Mark.
Thank you.
Yes. And then we also have in the building tonight joining us, we have Ivotres Littles, the legendary Ivotres Littles, joining us tonight. How's it going tonight, Ivotres?
It's going. I'm happy to be here. This is going to be fun.
Oh yes. I'm excited to get you on. Especially because you got the preternatural, mysteries going on as well. So I'm excited. You were telling me a little bit behind the scenes. I don't want to talk about anything. You're not ready to talk about, but
it's coming back. It's coming back. It was on hiatus for like a year and a half or so, but it's coming back.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Me too. If you guys are not following Ivotres, make sure you do, which I'm sure you already are, but make sure you are. If you aren't, Horror Movies and Beyond, killing it. Shudderary, go back and look at the content, killing it as always. So we also have another very special person tonight. We got Chelsea, aka the Tales from the Stitch Keeper. Welcome tonight. How are you doing tonight, Chelsea?
I'm good. I'm doing great. I'm super pumped to be talking about all this.
Yes. Chelsea is also, a horror content creator, and she's very super duper talented. If you haven't checked out like her figures, it's just amazing what she does with the Stitch. Like it's just amazing what you do with the Stitch. And you've also landed, some of your work in film, which
yeah.
I'm happy about as well, so
yeah,
that's a great thing. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh yes. And then last but not least, we got Allie in the building, author Allie in the building. Make sure you check out, look out for Allie. She's got, if you've already watched our interview, she's got her debut novel coming out next year, which is amazing. How are you doing tonight, Allie?
I'm good. Thanks for plugging it in the hashtag. I saw you put the little title in. That was really nice of you.
Oh yes. It came from the trees. I'm excited.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to be here and talk about, conspiracy theories, paranormal theories. So it should be fun.
Oh yes. Well, thank you all again for joining tonight. It should be a fun Should be a fun conversation. Also thank you in the chat for joining us tonight. Jaleesa Taylor in the building tonight. Thank you for joining us. Christina James. Oh, thank you for joining us. Nina in the building tonight. We got Mr. Dan and Horror. Thank you, Mr. Dan, for joining us tonight. Oh, Michael Anthony. Shout out to Mike in the building tonight. Thank y'all for joining us. But tonight is our top 7, paranormal conspiracies. That's the topic, tonight, and we're gonna get deep into it. But first, I wanted to ask everybody, like, what was their introduction to conspiracy theories in general? Because I feel like uh, we all had that little spark in the brain, probably for me, it was at a young age, like from watching stuff like the X-Files or even Simpsons when they were spoofing the X-Files. Like it was just certain things that just like sparked my brain and my interest or whatever. So I was like, you know what? I wonder what sparked theirs. So, I'm gonna start off with Chelsea. What started your interest in the conspiracy theories?
Well, the whole like aliens and all that, it was probably like the old Outer Limits. I used to watch those with my dad, like those black and white ones that were, half hour long or whatever.
Yes.
But Unsolved Mysteries, like I remember watching some of those as a kid, and it just like blew my mind, and my world was just never the same. I became a lot more paranoid. That's probably where it all began. that theme song.
Oh yes, Unsolved Mysteries. Shout out to Ivotres who's wearing the shirt.
I know, I saw that. I love it.
So Ivotres, what got you started into conspiracy theories?
Oh man. Well, it started young actually. Sightings was a show that I watched. That theme song still kind of creeps me out, and they still haven't found Bigfoot and the Loch Ness monster. They're still hanging out there, so those kind of things. Also, plus my mom, my a lot of my family from the South, so they were used to that kind of I don't know, like superstition and voodoo. They heard of it. Some of them practice. We used to have things burning in the house and weird things going on. Ouija boards was like a family affair. I mean, we just get together and call things, and I don't know. Like, I've have relatives that could see things and hear things, and yeah, except for me, I'm the only one. Good so far. So yeah, it started then.
Yeah, I've seen a couple spirits before. There was actually an old photo of me taken, and there was a cat ghost, like on the side of me, but that's a whole nother story. um, Allie, how did you get into conspiracy theories?
I was gonna point out Ivotres' shirt because that's exactly how Unsolved Mysteries, just like when I was 10, staying up late watching those episodes about ghosts, and it was my introduction to Roswell. But also like family too. Like I come from a pretty like creepy family. Like everybody likes horror movies and like weird stories. So it was like inevitable. Like whenever my dad's one of like 11 kids, and so like whenever everybody like gathered around, they would just start in with like the ghost stories and like just anything they could say to like freak out the kids. So I don't know, it's just been since childhood, but it definitely started with Unsolved Mysteries.
Awesome. What about you, Mark?
I also too started off with Unsolved Mysteries, but also those old time life collections of paranormal, the commercials that would play during the when they like during stuff like the Twilight Zone, Unsolved Mysteries, they'll advertise those those time life collections and the stories they would tell within the commercial. I'm like, and then our local library got a copy of that set, and I was just burning through them like. And my parents also, the stuff they would tell me that they saw when they was kids growing up in the country and everything, it was just like I'm scared, but I want more.
Yeah, I think that's the vibe with conspiracy theories. It's like you sometimes like it'll be like late at night and you're just on YouTube searching around and they've got the music pumping in the background and you're just watching and they got the flashing screen and you're just like, "Oh my God, like this is like I'm totally engrossed." Which actually it took me back to when I was showing the net to my little brother, and he was about 5 at the time, 5 or 6 at the time, and I had left the house, and he called my cell phone, and he started crying, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "The government's trying to get me or whatever, because I had showed him the net."
Are you
Yeah.
talking about the 90s movie with Sandra Bullock?
Yes. Yes. It was unintentionally traumatizing for him, you know. But yeah, that's a whole another story. Thank you, Tommy, for stopping by, Black Horror Survivor. Thank you. Dan says I'm not old enough to have been creeped out by In Search of, and Christina says, I'm scared, but I want more. Story of my life. Facts. I think that's all. I think that's a part of us all in this room right here. In this room right here. So let's get started with the countdown. With the countdown. So does anyone want to volunteer to go first, folks?
I will volunteer. I'm going to bring up what I brought up in the chat. That remember I was talking about that documentary that I watched on Amazon Prime, and it was like about CE5, where you could like
Yes.
communicate with aliens through like meditation and all that. Did you end up checking it out?
I was actually checking it out today. It was wild.
Anyway, pretty much the gist of it is like we can use like meditation to actually contact aliens, and there's actually like groups all over the world that get together and do this outside, and it's kind of cool. Like, I mean, I take everything with a grain of salt, but there is a lot of videos of these people doing these mass meditations and seeing like little orbs and all that. There's people who have said they've like got on the alien spaceship and like talked to them, and they can like teleport and all that.
Wow.
And this, like, I Googled the company, and the only real information they have is like a book you can buy, but it was like 99 cents. And I haven't read it yet. I'm going to wait till the summer when I can like get outside. But
Gotcha.
I thought it was kind of cool that they're giving us all this information for free. It wasn't like, because first I'm like, is this a cult? Because I'm not really, it's a 99-cent book and that's all. Maybe there's some truth to it.
Yeah.
But and it would make sense. Like, we do all this manifestation and all that, and everywhere in the world. It would kind of make sense if we could learn to channel that to kind of talk to other people.
You know what? It does make sense because I am subscribed to this channel on YouTube. It's called Spirit Science, and they do they have like a lot of different theories, but they do it in animation style, and they were doing one where they were saying like there's a big change like coming to the planet. Like there's always a big change, depending on who you ask, but there's a big change coming to the planet, and it depends on our consciousness level, like how things will go, whether it'll go right or left, and just it talks about like energy and stuff like that. And so that's why when you brought up like meditation and connecting with extraterrestrials and stuff like that, and even watching the documentary, it does make sense. It does. I do feel the vibe. I feel like it's possible. It is possible, So how does anybody else have any take on that conspiracy?
I think it's an interesting one. I mean, you hear all these stories about like government investing in like telepathy and like all these other like mind programs. and so it's like
Mhm.
they know something that we don't know, and so I think it is plausible.
Oh
Um,
yes. Oh yes. It's definitely. I definitely think it's plausible. Definitely think it's. What you got to say, Mark? I feel like you got something to say.
No, I'm just that's new to me, and I'm just been writing down notes for the documentary and the channel that you subscribe to
Hmm.
because that's some stuff that I do also look at night when I go to bed. It's like Merc docs. I know it. I don't know. I'm odd. I go to sleep to
Oh
weird shit.
no!
So
Listen, man.
brave.
This this is a safe space. I go to sleep to horror
me too.
podcasts, murder documentaries. I'm to ASMR of serial killers. I'm just like all sorts of stuff. So,
No, I mean, but I'm just gonna warn everybody that my list is more like supernatural, paranormal stuff. So, because I don't know, I watch entirely too much news, and my mind can go left when I sit there and see something when it comes to like conspiracy theories and everything. Because that shit scares the hell out of me. Because
yeah.
you never know. Like you said, they could be. I know. I just have a feeling that, like everybody said in the panel, that there are some type of telepathy signs going on, and it's kind of what you said earlier. There's where there's smoke, there's fire. So I feel like there is some type of lab somewhere, maybe somewhere you probably even think of, where they actually test all this stuff. Trying to assassinate people with mind control and everything. It's just creepy. But I'm gonna let the next person go. I'm just talking.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
it's about to get heavy. What about you, Ali? What's your number 7?
Okay, well, full disclosure, mine aren't in any particular order. But one of my top ones that I'm interested in is the Zone of Silence. Have you guys heard of this?
No.
It's in
Mm.
the desert in Mexico, and apparently, like electronic equipment and compasses don't work there, and it's really quiet. People have reported like there's like a weird energy vibe there, and that like UFO sightings are common in that area. So some people have come out and said, "Oh, maybe there's an underground like secret alien base or something." And we kind of saw that in like the movie The Arrival. Um,
Mm.
so I don't know. It's interesting.
Yes.
Hmm. I've never heard of that.
So
That's
Me neither.
yeah,
yeah.
it makes sense though, because if there's like certain activity, they wouldn't want certain signals to be getting crossed.
I think of it like you know how you have like the Bermuda Triangle, like just like the Alaska Triangle, these areas where like weird things happen, or like the Earth's energy just seems to be like kind of off in those areas. I don't know. It could be one of those spaces. But
No, the
Hmm.
Bermuda Triangle, that's a whole nother beast. That's a whole nother beast. you know.
Uh,
Oh, my like I don't have anything in like particular order either, but I'm gonna throw out the the Black Eyed Kids. I'm gonna throw out the Black Eyed Kids.
The black-eyed kids?
Yes, the Black Eyed Kids. Yes, they are um these children that appear, and a lot of times they are dressed in clothes that aren't of this decade, or may not be of this century, and they have black eyes, and a lot of times you don't even notice it until it's too late you know um but they picture like a scenario like the movies The Strangers, where you're just chilling with your fiance, or you're just chilling by yourself or whatever, and you get a knock at the door, and this kid is like, they're just asking you some questions, but they're not asking you questions like a child would. They're asking you questions like something's a little off. Like they're asking you questions like they've been here before. Oh, can I use your phone? Can I do this? Can I do that? Like they want to get into your house though. You know. And pretty much, like, I feel as though they may be aliens or vampires. Like, because I feel like there's, and not necessarily vampires in a sense of like sucking your blood, but vampires in a sense of energy vampires. Because honestly, I feel like we are in reality, when it comes to reality, or my reality that I believe it to be, as Tales from the Dark Side would say. Um, Vampires are just like they may drain your energy, I feel like it kind of goes with what Chelsea was saying earlier with just the energy and just kinetically and just how things go, and certain things that aren't necessarily always explored medically, so I think the Black Eyed Kids are some energy suckers, and I believe that they're real. Like, I know a lot of people, I guess people are like, oh, it's an urban legend or whatever, but I'm like, nah, I think it's real. I think it's real.
Do they like
what
kill you,
can
or do they just suck your energy? Like, are you
uh
just
you know what, there have been reports, like, I haven't read any reports of people dying, but I've read reports of like people not necessarily, like they go missing pretty much. Like, if you invite them in your house, like, that's a wrap. It's like that's why I kind of like hold it to akin to a vampire, because if you let a vampire in, or if you watch From, you let them in,
yeah?
it's a wrap. But I feel like they are in that family, but energy wise, so.
No, no, thank
Mm.
you.
Get in your car too. I've heard reports of them trying to like coming up to people at like gas stations in the middle
Oh
of
my
the night. And for some people who have like let them in, I don't know if you've heard this, Tyrone, but like they don't remember what happened
Yes,
after they let them in.
oh
yes,
my
That's so
God.
creepy. Because it's a kid, you have to let it in. You can't just have like, some 6-year-old being like, I don't know where my mom is. Like, no, I'm through the
exactly.
door.
and
I'm gonna look
and
like a
that's how they get you. That's how they get you.
Oh my God. That is
children
creepy.
couldn't be any creepier, but here we are.
Or you're gonna watch a bunch of Black Eyed Kids videos after this, right before you go to bed.
I probably will too.
We got Dan says, I used to read Murderpedia all the time before bed. Murderpedia, never heard of that. Gotta
Yeah.
look that up. Mike, thanks for joining, Mike. That's where the chupacabra lives. I just know it. And then Mike says, not the kids, Lord. Yeah, I feel like when you involve kids,
Yeah.
it's like, because what are you going to do? Like, what do you? And I feel like
Yeah.
in a lot of horror movies, even it lets your guard down, or when it's dealing with ghosts or demons, like if your significant other or your mom turns into a demon, like, what are you going to do? Like, some people will be like, oh, fuck her, I'm shooting her in the face or whatever, but for the most part, like, no one's going to shoot their mom, or just like off the bat. You got to really, I don't know, I would I've always thought, like, if I was in like a from dusk till dawn situation, and people just started
Oh
turning
man.
into vampires, like, I would have to sit in a corner and just get my mind in a mode to just be a killing machine,
But you
so.
would have time for that in a from dusk to dawn situation. Shit's going all over the place.
Yeah, it's Mike. Mike says, y'all can watch videos of the Black Eyed Kids. I'm gonna watch the Black Eyed Peas. Thank you. All right. Now, what about you, Ivotres? What's a conspiracy for you?
um I don't think it's a conspiracy. Maybe, I'm not sure, but it's about like cursed objects. Like, can a spirit attach itself? I mean, we've heard of Annabelle, but and then there's Robert the doll, where they think Chucky was modeled after that. But I don't know. There's one doll that no one really talks about, and it's the Okiku doll. It's a Japanese haunted doll, and the story goes about that doll. I don't know if anyone have heard of it, but it's Okiku, It's OKIKU. And it's one of the most haunted dolls. It has a shrine and its own little space because it got so crazy. But it was about a little girl who passed away from yellow fever. And the doll she had was a gift. So Okiku is the name of the little girl that died holding the doll. And so once she passed on, they noticed that the doll hair started growing, teeth, fingernails. It may have walked and talked and things, and it would be very destructive in the house. No matter what they did to the doll, they had monks, they did seances, they tried to do anything, and then they realized that it was possessed by the little girl. So even though they put the doll into the shrine and like in a glass case, and it's in Japan, you can go see the doll, but at a very safe space. But they still notice the hair would grow, even if you trim it or cut it, the next day it's like long and fingernails and teeth and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's always what's fascinating is how they always say if you die some type of tragedy or holding an object, your soul is like bound to that. And I just find it very interesting because I mean, not only Okiku doll, there's a I have to because I can't remember anything. There's the conjured chest. If you put something into the chest, you're cursed. There's like a painting, and on the painting you would see a little boy and a doll, and then you would come back to the painting, and then there's a like still shot of them fighting. So the boy's just standing there, you'll look at the painting, come back, and he's like fighting with the doll, like it's stopped, but and then you see handprints in the back. I mean, it's just wild how many crazy things are out there, and people collect these things. I mean, even though they're supposed to be cursed and everything, it's just, can a body or spirit attach itself to an inanimate object? And is that true? I mean, we all know about Annabelle, the Raggedy Ann doll, but how far, like, why? I always wondered what is the connection between one thing and another. Why can't the spirit just move on? Why does it has to attach itself? And I just find that interesting. A lot of these haunted and cursed things out there are these spirits, not always these demons, but people have died tragedy and they just don't want to leave. They rather just stay. Or even a house. I mean, there's haunted houses, there's things like that. You'll see someone knocking on the door, running around, saying things. You get a lot of that stuff in Japan, a lot of cursed homes, don't walk in or get you. And like The Grudge is kind of based on an actual family that got completely just demolished by a relative, and it's just like, that's crazy. And yet people still walk in and take photos and do all no thanks. I don't think so. Even if I don't know it's true, I cannot put myself in a situation where it could attach. And that was one thing about my mom, because she believed in voodoo, she believed in aliens. She used to tell me as a kid, there's aliens here. I've met them. And she was a very smart woman. I mean, she was a nurse. She valedictorian. I don't think she was crazy, but she said, she always looked me dead in the eyes. There are aliens here. So, but anyway, but it's just interesting that death you may not go wherever you think you're going. You may be stuck wherever you're at or have the most connection. I don't know. That's just as terrifying as the death itself. It's like, I don't want to be haunting nobody. I want to move on.
Yeah. I am a firm believer in cursed objects and people leaving certain energy or the spirit in an object. Like even separate from the movies. Like it's just
Right.
I just feel like that is a plausible thing. It's a possibility. It can happen, and there's been so much evidence that's been pointed towards that. So I feel like that's not a conspiracy to me. That's a fact. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess it. I mean, it just depends on who you look at, or who's investigating, or how you see it.
yeah.
Because I could go into a haunted house, which I did. It was actual. It was the Bixby Knowes house in Long Beach, or in Bixby Knowes or something, and it has a history. And I walked in there and walked around, and I was like, I don't see nothing. I don't feel nothing. What's going on? But however, my niece has always been the one that has this certain energy of feeling things or whatever. And so as we were walking, she was like, there's nothing going on. But she stopped at a certain spot and said, okay, something horribly tragic has happened in that basement. And I believe her. I mean, it's a certain extent, but I'm seeing is believing, but I think I forced myself not to see because I don't know mentally I can handle that. So
That right there.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
right there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What about you? What about you, Mark?
I'm glad, Patrice, you started with it because that's where I'm headed right now. It's the Latoya Ammons case. Have y'all heard of that?
No.
Latoya.
It's so she's black. Her and her mother stayed in a house in I think it's Indiana or Indianapolis, Gary, Indiana, I believe. And she and her three kids and her mom experienced a lot of supernatural activity. And it got to the point where the Catholic Church got involved, the DCS got involved because they took her kids away from her because they thought that she was encouraging the kids to ramp up the idea that their house was haunted. But then the nurses and the DCS people and the cops all witnessed stuff as they came involved with this case, and some even had. It's kind of like what you were saying earlier, how stuff attach itself to people because people who walk inside the house will leave and they will have issues post walking in their house. Like one DCS caseworker, she left home and she had a series of fortunate events. She broke her foot, she broke her finger, she had a ski accident,
Damn.
and all this within a month's time. And she said, they asked her, could she go back and investigate more? She said, I'm not going back in the house. I'm going to assign somebody else to this case. And the cops eventually went and dug up the stairs up in the basement. And they found, I'm trying to figure, they found, I know, a Lee press on nail, a pair of panties, a toy, a piece of paper, and a lot of other stuff up under that area, but they didn't find a body or anything. And the Catholic priest that came and did the exorcism to the house said that he noticed as soon as he got in there was something was wrong. And it all started with a mass of black flies on the screen door that December that they moved in. And there's somebody else staying in the house at the moment, and I'm leaving out a lot of stuff, especially how the kids were behaving. The one of the things that scared me was the doctor witnessed the little boy walking backwards in the hospital. He walked backwards up the wall and jumped over his grandmother's head as she was holding his hand. And they said that hospital room cleared out. Like,
No shit.
I bet.
yeah,
I'm about to clear out.
yeah. So
What?
it's the Latoya, and it's Latoya Ammons Ammons case. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Lee Daniels or somebody has the rights to their story
Oh
because
wow.
they eventually left the house. Nothing bad happened, none of them died, but the guy who was the owner, who's the owner of the house, he says that the new tenants have not experienced anything, and he's getting tired of people driving up to the house to try to investigate it and whatnot. But the sheriff, the DCS people, and it was multiple DCS people, the hospital, and the Catholic Church all said that exorcism and a demonic presence was in that house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did the
Wow.
exorcism work?
They don't. They said that the exorcism worked in a way that because the woman Latoya herself was possessed, and they had to hold her down to get the demon out of her. But she said that she felt like the demon was hurting her, but at the same time trying to stay as he was, doing all that to her and everything. And she said eventually she felt better, but she felt better once they were long gone from that area. Like she got her kids back, everything's fine, and but I mean the article I could share with y'all in the chat. It's very long, and I've truly truncated a lot of stuff, trying to not take too much time, but it's a lot. And I felt like I read a script for a potential new horror series or something like that. So
I'd watch
What
that.
year did that supposed to have happened?
this happened in 2018. Wait, I might be wrong.
Ooh.
I might be wrong. Let me see.
This is the first time I'm ever hearing
Yeah.
something like that.
It was published. The article I'm gathered from was published in 2014, and they said this all happened. I'm scrolling on the article right now. 2011, November 2011 is when it started,
Okay.
and I think it lasted up until like the latter part of 2012.
It sounds like a modern day of Amityville. That
Exactly.
with black folks, right?
With black folks, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
kind of thing that makes me wonder, is it the house that's haunted or is it the people? Because you always hear about that, like with these haunted houses, like, with the Amityville, like, oh, the people who experienced it, they experienced all these really scary things, but then after they moved out, the next tenants didn't experience anything. So is it like the property itself that's haunted, or is like somebody, like, was the daughter haunted and like that, spirit is just traveling with her?
You're just susceptible to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think
Yeah.
you're prone to pick up on energy in that.
Right, because I think that's part of the story that they was talking about. Because they said that the woman Latoya, she already had the case. The DCS people looking at her because the kids weren't going to school on a regular basis, but she was telling them the kids weren't going to school because the demons would make them sick and they would be up all night scared, so they weren't getting any sleep. So they didn't feel like going to school. So, but I think it's like you said, they're susceptible to it, and that's why I'm trying to be good to everybody and respectful because I don't want no bad juju on me because I do stay alone and I don't.
See, I think that's one of because my mom brought something up. Like she said, you could go to these places, but you don't know if you have that kind of energy for something to attach itself to you. And then all of a sudden you didn't brought home some kind of, whatever. And now, things are flying around, chairs are stacking. I mean, you have no idea and you just think it's a house, but then you leave and go somewhere else and then the chairs are stacking there. So it's, I don't know. I guess I have no idea. Nothing is attaching itself to me. I hope not.
Yeah, it's very wild. Like the like possession and whether like hauntings and whether is it the like Ali brought up, is it the house that's haunted or is it the people that's haunted? Like that's always been like an interesting concept for me, to dive into.
Lastly, I think one of the worst things that can happen is that you go somewhere and you buy something, purchase something, and then you bring it in your home and then it just do horrible things and you have no idea. I mean, you could go to an antique shop. That's why when I shop at those antique shops, I am really looking at it and really observing because you don't know why it's sitting in there. Can you imagine taking home a cabinet or something and then you put something in there, you open it up, and then it's like a whole nother dimension, and then like what? You get sucked in there.
Episode of No Sleep. That's a creepy pasta right there.
Mhm.
Well, I was thinking of the Dybbuk box.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
All those people's houses and stuff. I've heard of that. There was also an Unsolved Mysteries episode where somebody bought like a bed secondhand and the bed was haunted and like moving around.
It's a lot. You know
You know that conjured chest that I mentioned earlier. Well, that conjured chest was built by a slave because she got tired of how her master was treating her, and then she got it cursed. So now, for generations and generations who have put their clothes in there, that family would be cursed. And it's in Kentucky. I think it's in Kentucky right now, and it's sitting in there. But they say you can't put anything in there because then it attaches itself to you. Even though the chest stays there, it's just you will fall down, break your legs or whatever. It's like something tragic what happened. And but the way they have it displayed, it just looks like a chest or drawer just sitting there. And I was like, what if somebody just open it and throw their shirt in there and don't even know? I mean, they don't even have rope. It's like, it's just wild how they have that. I mean, you can look this up. It's just open to the
Well, yeah, I think like nowadays, like we have like people who make like jewelry out of the ashes of the deceased, you know, and not just like the ashes of their deceased loved ones, but you know, they're selling ashes of the deceased to other people, you know. So I'm like, it's a lot of energy, you know, swapping and you know, just it's some things I'm comfortable with, some things I'm not comfortable with. But chess, like you bringing up the chest, it reminds me of that movie Oculus, where you know they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, it's the mirror," and I'm just like, "Ooh, you know, spooky." Um, I'm gonna see what's going on in the chat. Mika, welcome Mika to the chat. You know, she says I'm always nervous about that when I buy it from antique shops. Yes, most definitely. We got Bobby likes it spooky in the building. What's up, Bobby? Thank you for stopping by. You know, Sylvester, thank you for stopping by, Sylvester. I'm always thinking I'm going to get haunted when I go Goodwill shopping, but so far so good.
I mean, it's scary. You're getting a good deal, but you might get something else too.
Needful things.
Gotta sage your purchases, Mika says.
You got to take your sage into these antique shops,
Right.
And, you know, then you just see everything runs out.
Yes. Dan says, I think it's the house first, but they attach themselves to vulnerable people like the woman from the entity and follow you after. I can see that. I can see that. All right. So we go into the to round 6, you know. Chelsea, what you got for round 6?
What did I have? The Mandela effect. And it's funny because I've known about it for years, but just recently it kind of, because before I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of weird that we all remember it that way. But I was on TikTok, of course, where you find all the weird ass shit. And somebody brought up Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal and the lyrics to it. And it was, you've been struck by a smooth criminal. But it's not. And if you look it up now, it says you've been hit by. Which when I was younger, when I was younger, I distinctively remember the lyrics because I listened to it, right? Everybody's like, well, Alien Ant Farm redid it. I'm like, no, this was before Alien Ant Farm. But Alien Ant Farm is hit by, struck by. But that would have been the only words that they actually changed in the song when they redid it. So yeah, if you look at the lyrics, it is hit by, it's absolutely bizarre, and it blew my mind.
Nope. See, look at all of us. No,
really, it is. We look it up, and those are the lyrics. So now I'm wondering what is up. And then, like, you know, when you're talking to like your grandpa or something, and they're like, "Back in the day, blah blah," and you're like, "That never happened, Grandpa." Maybe it did, but because of the Mandela effect, it really didn't. So maybe we'll all be like,
I mean, so you're saying it's you've been struck by?
No, it's you've been hit by. Yeah, he does say struck by once, but for the most part, the lyrics are you've been hit by twice. Which I'm like 99.9% sure that is not how it was back in my day.
No. Well, it's going back to the other way. I can't.
Yeah, like I even tried to sing it the way that they said it is now. I'm like, no, that don't sound right because that's not how it is. They're all blaming Alien Ant Farm.
Too bad we can't play the song.
Yeah,
Right.
Because I would be like, let's hear it.
The song, and the song changed. Those are the words now, and I'm like, but it wasn't back then. It's bizarre. It's very bizarre.
that is bizarre. Like, because I feel like you've been struck by are the better lyrics,
Right.
You know?
Because they are the lyrics. Those are that was them.
Well, see, I saw this pop up on TikTok too because they were talking about the Fruit of the Loom logo and how we all remember it as having that little like cornucopia thing behind it that the fruit was in.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I guess, and that was never a thing. It's just the fruit. And so people have like scoured the internet trying to find a version of it that has like the little cornucopia and it doesn't.
Oh my God! No, there was some cornucopia on. Let me just stop again. I saw cornucopia. I saw cornucopia. Don't get me wrong. I remember specifically there being a cornucopia behind it, like little going up like that a little bit. I don't know.
Sometimes in denial is good. Like we'll just leave it the way because that'll drive you crazy. Now everybody's like, "Where's the Fruit of the Loom? Anybody got some? Let's check." But I mean, yeah, that's wild. That's so interesting.
Yeah, because it's a lot of different things. Like I'm sure we've all seen videos on like the Mandela effect and certain things that are switched around, like the infamous the Berenstein versus Berenstain, bears and stuff like that.
Oh
And
my God!
So is it Berenstein? Wait, what? Berenstein Bears or Berenstein? Whatever.
yeah,
What did you say?
Berenstein or Berenstain bears?
I always said Berenstain, but I would always contribute it to being country and shit. So I thought.
No, I was in California, man. I was
Berenstain Bears,
I just don't think I paid that much attention when I read it as a kid to notice the difference. I wouldn't be like, no, I'm dead set it was spelt that way because I was just learning to read, right? I never.
So
or like Mandela's.
So like.
Yeah.
What's that?
See.
I always thought it was STEIN.
Yeah, STEIN.
And what are they?
And this is a scary book. I'm serious, and it's the original. It's like I got it from a antique shop, so we all know something happened.
That's why it's scary. It's got some. It's contained. It's tainted.
yeah. MarkOEstes said, "Avoid garage sales." Said avoid garage sales. But yeah, the Mandela effect, very interesting. I think the biggest one for me was like I remember as a kid watching Nelson Mandela's funeral, and then them being like he didn't die at that time or whatever. It was weird. It was very weird. So.
That's like Bob Barker's still alive, and I thought he died like.
I thought he died.
I thought he died too till he showed up. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, which I think maybe there's that weird like year where they're just saying people died on the internet. Remember where they're just like so.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe that could kind of explain that because I don't really. If Bob Barker died, I just kind of be like, oh, and carry on with my life, but.
Yeah.
That's a good point. They got a lot of people. That year. I swear.
What about you, Allie? What's your number 6?
A lot of mine have to do with like time because time freaks me out. The Philadelphia experiment.
Yes.
The Navy ship that they tried to make invisible, and it apparently like turned green and then it disappeared in like a cloud of like green smoke, and it appeared in Norfolk, Virginia, and then it went back to Philly, and then when it got back to Philly, some of the crew members were allegedly like fused with the ship.
What?
Sorry, Mark, I just messed you. I just broke Mark.
Their bodies were like infused into the ship.
Say that again.
Like their bodies were like infused into the ship?
They said that there were like hands and like limbs just like sticking out of like the walls and stairs of the ship.
Damn.
It could very well be an urban legend, but I don't know. I think it's an interesting conspiracy theory, and always with the government experimenting on stuff.
Did
There's
they
a
make a
They'll do anything.
there's a show called Dark Matters Twisted but True. And that was one of the episodes that it completely talked about. I don't know if anybody has ever seen that. I learned a lot from that show. And you're right, there was an experiment and they were just trying to do stuff because back then it was like everybody wanted to be the first to do bombs or
Yes.
discover things. And no matter what they put you through, they were going to do it. And it was a kind of like time, like a time machine that they were trying to do. So I think it was Russian. It was Russian or German or something like that. And then all of a sudden it just, yeah, it disappeared. And it posted it came back, but it did go to somewhere else as well. It's
What I saw, it was Norfolk, Virginia. That's where it went for a little while, and then came back to Philly.
Yeah.
Like it was back in the port. So I don't know. It just, that story always like freaked me out. Like especially the part about like the crew members being like fused to the ship, and it's like, oh, this is what happens when we don't understand like space and time, and we start experimenting with it.
Oh yeah, that's very, very strange. Bodies fusing to the to the ship. Because I like when
two
you were
things.
talking about it. What were you gonna say, Mark?
No, I was going to ask one. Wasn't there a movie made after that called The Philadelphia Experiment?
I think so. I've never seen it, but I think so.
yeah, I think so,
Oh.
but I don't think it. I think they talked about it. They did it, but if you watch that show, Dark Matters Twisted but True, it really gets into the science of what they were trying to do and why. Like, they have to condense it. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I was going to mention was that's kind of where they get a crucial scene in the Cloverfield paradox from. Because y'all remember that scene when Elizabeth Debicki, I forget her, I cannot pronounce her last name to save my neck, but when she appeared after they did they pulled the switch and she was like in the middle of the ship and they had to like break her out of there. And one of the guys lost his arm and his arm
it was
walking
crawling around. Yeah. I was like, what? This turned into Evil Dead and everything else. Like idle hands. It was weird. It was yeah, that was a weird, interesting movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. The Philadelphia Experiment, Michael Pear. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It reminds me a little bit of that episode of The Twilight Zone where the astronauts came back and like I think it was 3 of them came back and then one of them disappeared and then the 2 were like he was one of the guys was tripping. He's like, "Hey, where's Bob?" And he's like, what are you talking about? There was no Bob. It's just 2 of us that went up there, and then next thing you know, like one by one they start, disappearing and stuff like
What
that.
is this? What show?
The Twilight Zone, the black and white, the OG one. I think it's called like I shot an I think it's called no, not I shot an arrow in the sky. It's something. It's got something to do with. It's one of the astronaut episodes, but it was 3 astronauts that came back, and then slowly but surely, like they just started to dissipate, and they were like, "What's going on? Where's you? What are you talking about? You came with 2 guys. You were the only one up there. So yeah, very." Very trippy, very trippy. But I'm gonna go with my number 6 with reptilians. The reptilian alien conspiracy. And certain entities being placed within heads of government. And yeah, certain. Because I would like I had mentioned earlier before the Spirit Science channel, where they were talking about there was this race war between the reptilians and these other races of aliens, and the reptilians, being the aggressive species, they were the ones that eventually won, and they're trying to sort of like manipulate what happens on Earth, you know, like, and they see it, we see it reflective in like movies and media, you know, stuff like They Live, or you know, just like Ninja Turtles. Like it's everywhere, pretty much everywhere. But pretty much that conspiracy is about the the thought that there are reptilians in that can morph into human form and basically like take shape and pretty much shape society into what they want it to be, you know, whether it's at the detriment to us as a race or not, you know, whether it's, you know. And I know there's been a lot of conspiracies with a lot of things going on, you know, but I feel like if I was reading that they were also a part of the 5G conspiracy, you know, because like when before 5G came out, you know, people were like, oh, the radio waves and everything is gonna affect us, and you know, it's gonna just it's too powerful, you know, like it's emitting from your routers and everything. So yeah, that's my number six, the reptilians, you know, taking over the planet, you know. Which
So
we
V actually happens. What you're saying?
yes. V or that the season of American Horror Story that everyone hated.
Oh, the people don't
The
talk about Death Valley. That was horrible.
yeah, the one with the pregnant men, you know, and it was
What?
just
What season was that?
Yeah, which one was that one?
it was
That was
it was the season
season
before.
10.
Yeah, season 10.
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw. Yeah.
Yeah, it was I think that was split into two. The first season was about the vampire slash writers, and then the
Mhm.
second part was about, you know, the alien takeover and stuff like that. And I know like there were a lot of things that people didn't appreciate or like about the season, but I really did like the fact of I like the effects that they did with the aliens, but I also like the fact that they tied in historical figures in their decisions with the alien plot, you know. So I really had dug that, you know. But yeah, I think it's totally plausible that you know, and not saying that all aliens would be hostile, that you know, would come down or whatever, but I feel like it is totally plausible, you know, that something like that could happen. And that we could necessarily be like, not say easily manipulated, but there are certain tactics that you can use to, you know, manipulate people in a on a mass level, you know. And I feel like if they're an advanced society, you know, then what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You know.
Well, I
So
wonder too if there's like
Mm.
another, because there's obviously different groups of aliens.
yes.
And when these like reptilians are making these alien movies and these abduction movies and all that, and making us scared of aliens, I wonder if that's so that when the aliens come, we naturally freak the fuck out. And then these reptilians can be like, yeah, they're bad. You don't want to talk to them or hang out with them. But maybe they're like good people. I mean, media
Ooh.
has done that for many human races, like made, you know, white people scared of them.
Yes.
And who's to say they're not doing it to the aliens too? And like, I don't know, I think about that. And I used to be scared of like the Greys because they'd come and like abduct you. But now I'm like, I don't think that's true. I think the government is just telling us that they're horrible creatures that are going to abduct us and anal probe us. And maybe they're just like, you know, maybe they'll just scoop us up and be like, hey, can I have some of your blood? And I'll be like, yeah, cool, man. You know, here you go. Do what you got to do. And they're like, yeah, here's the lottery numbers for the next like
Yeah, I have a fantasy of like aliens just, you know, greeting me, and I don't know why they would come to me. You know, I would be the chosen one, but I just feel like they would come down and they would greet me, and they would just either give me a leaf, like a magical leaf, or a you know, just a wave, or maybe a pill, you know, and just get rid of everything that would ail me. It'd be like a one and done. It'd be like, oh, my acid reflux is gone. All this is gone. You know, like it's all this stuff. You know, I have that's my fantasy. That's my alien fantasy. Not necessarily to leave Earth, but just to
Well, I'm ready. I just
Hey, that's what I'm gonna say. I'm ready too. Like, come get me from this shit show, please.
Well, wait. Now it depends on what alien, because if you get that alien from was it the Twilight Zone to serve man,
Nah, I
he
don't want
was
that
ready to cook your
Yes.
ass.
Nah, not that one. But just any other one, like
Or
we got a
fire
whole
in the sky aliens.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Sylvester said they looking at T like he crazy. It's a this is the safe space to get out the wild and crazy the wild and crazy theories. You know, Sylvester also says I never believed the anal thing. Like, why would they do that? It makes no sense. You know,
because it's a
That scene in
conspiracy.
Paul
Because
where
yeah, what you say? What you say? Alex?
I was just saying that I watched Paul recently again, and
oh
that's
yeah.
what the alien and Paul was talking about. Like, he's like, what can I learn from an anal probe?
It's like Chelsea said. They want you to be scared of stuff like that. Like, you know, we're gonna steal something. I mean, let me stop. This is a safe space, but I'm not gonna be nasty with it. So,
but I think, like, especially like watching something like Signs, to where they were actually vulnerable to something like water. So I feel like if they did come down and if we're intimidated already, if we're subservient already, then we're not even going to think like, oh, you know, of course there's always going to be some militia out there ready to, you know, be like, let's get them. Let's get them, boys, you know. But
yeah,
I feel like I'd be on the alien side. I don't know. To be honest, if the aliens came down, I'd probably be rocking with the aliens people. I'd take my chances, you know.
yeah.
I always wonder too, like, if the aliens are communicating with us, like, who's speaking for Earth? Because if it's the fucking government that we have now,
We're fucked.
I don't want them speaking for us as a species to the aliens. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I think we need somebody a little bit more valid.
Yes. Well, that's an interesting question. Like, who would you guys choose to speak for the human race? You know, and
Myself. I speak for myself. No, because at least I have some knowledge or something I can reason with them or talk to them, or I don't know, like whatever they have. I mean, maybe their heads throb, and maybe, you know, that's how they communicate. I don't know. I just would not have a government speak for me. No way. Because I mean, the COVID taught us a lot, that we're in trouble if something like that invades. We're all in trouble. So I would probably be on the side of the aliens as well. Well, it depends on the aliens. I mean, if you have Independence Day aliens, they don't care. You're going down. I don't know. It just depends what we got. But we're aliens. We're floating on a rock in the middle of infinite space. And to believe we're the only ones is just dumb. I think there's something else out there, but they keep going out there and grabbing soil, bringing it back. I mean, you're going to turn this planet into the movie Species, and then we're going to have a problem. I mean, just stop. I mean, we're going to find something that's going to wipe us out or turn us into something or do something. I mean, we're almost there.
I think we are, though, because I think it was maybe a decade ago, they said we got to stop going to like the moon or some crap. And I was like, oh, that's because somebody up there, some intergalactic, you know, assembly has decided that we are too irresponsible. Like, this planet is too irresponsible. So we don't want your foolishness. We don't want y'all running amok, you know, because we see what y'all doing down here.
There's been entirely too many incidents where this has been made fun of, and like you in some absurd shows like South Park. There's an episode of South Park where the aliens visit South Park for some reason. Why they want to visit South Park out of all the goddamn other places in the world is beyond me. But they went there and got a great representation of what they probably thought Earth was, and pretty much told them, we were going to invite you guys to the world, to the space, whatever. But no, as a matter of fact, we're going to block y'all from all other life outside of Earth. And they put us in a box, a literal box, because that's how we think. And in my mind, I feel like we've already made contact with aliens, but of course, a certain group of people know, and they probably already made the decision like, y'all ain't ready. Y'all are nowhere near ready, and until y'all act right, then we may come in here and then invite y'all to be a part of the universe and whatnot. But until then, no. Like, don't even send for us, so.
But some of us are acting right. Like, why can't we go? Like, I feel like maybe there should be like certain aliens that like rescue humans. We'd be like the sad little pit bulls or something.
Has anyone thought that
chinos from Starbucks and their little spaceship at Mars and saving us from this whole of Earth?
Has anyone ever thought that we were the invasive species that came to this planet? Because if there were supposed to be dinosaurs and weird things just floating around or running around, and all of a sudden we have all these fossils of creatures and things that used to lurk here, and then they're gone, but then we came here. I mean, if you want to think of science, who started us? Where did we come from? Were we a particle floating out there and we just landed here and just multiplied? I mean, maybe we are the virus or the whatever, and we got shooted off a planet and thrown out, and all of a sudden we landed here and going crazy. Now we're making ships to go out there, and we're going to come across some, Deep Space Nine and Star Wars and Star Trek people. Yes. And they're going to be like, no.
The humans have returned. We're the Borg of the damn space.
I thought that. I was like, look at us. We're destroying this planet. Look at what people are doing, from violence to just dumping trash. I mean, it's not like we're going to turn into Wall-E and just be up there and doing God knows what. I mean, this is it. I mean, once this planet go, we're done. We're done. And people are just idiots. Anyway. It's like, calm down. We all in this together. We're all on this rock floating around the sun, and we're almost, have you noticed all the time we're almost about to be hit by a meteor?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Have you seen Starship Troopers? I think there's something out there shooting those meteors trying to get us.
Hey, there you go.
Oh yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Did you have something to say, Allie? I thought you were going to say something. Or
I have a lot. There were a lot of things to say, but they can be tied in there. But one thing. Have you guys heard of Oumuamua, the asteroid that did a drive-by of our planet not long ago?
You know what? I think I saw something in the news about that.
Yeah, so it recently made news again. People were talking about it because I don't know if you guys saw this, but this was like a month or two ago. This made like major news channels where like the government said that they are concerned that there might be a mothership in our solar system. And so people immediately went back to that Oumuamua asteroid that went by. I think it went by in like 2018. So they were like, oh, was that it? Is it still hanging out there?
But that's the thing though, because we're in an era where TikTok filters, you could put a spaceship in your backyard or in your living room, or just
this is a real asteroid though. That was like NASA actually picked it up.
But it's like how we're entering into an era where like AI is so sophisticated to where you could just type in, like I could type in MarkOEstes and the AI will talk and say what it thinks Mark would say, like something that Mark would say, and it would sound like Mark. And it's just like, you know, where like when the invasion, the quote unquote invasion does happen, you know, will I believe it? Will
That's
it be
true.
real? You know, so
That
That's true.
that
or are y'all just trying to control us? You know, like
both.
yeah, but yeah, um, Ivories, what's your number 6?
Oh man. Okay. Speaking of conspiracies, which I think this one is just very big. It's the I have here the great monuments of the world, which is like the pyramids, the Stonehenge, Easter Island. It's like, okay, you look at those things and they've been there forever, you know, based on the calculations of many scientists. And they wonder, oh, 5,000 years, 10,000 years, you know, who did it? Who did it? Did the aliens come down? And I'm just thinking, why can't people just believe, at least those people just believe that maybe, just maybe, um, we did it. Normal human beings just created these things. And you know, and but they say, oh well, if it's 5,000 years, we, you know, or this or 10 whatever, we may not have been here, but maybe we were. Maybe the calculations is wrong. I mean, could we have the ability to make something like that? I don't think aliens just came down and said, hey, we're going to just do these pyramids just for fun and get on people's nerves and, you know, whatever, because they do find, you know, like jewelry and stuff like that, like handmade things for these pharaohs and stuff like that. And they have dig the ground at Easter Island to see how far they would go without disturbing too much. And then there's so much history about that. But I'm just thinking, like, why can't they just believe like normal people, well, at least normal people have done this, and just why make up all these dates and stuff? Maybe the dates are wrong. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like they're just taking something, especially of that culture or where it was at, and just try to make it, instead of
Yeah,
believing that those people that are talented, especially in Egypt, were able to build this. I mean, there's so many theories of maybe they did, maybe they didn't, maybe there's aliens, maybe it's this. And how could they move these 3-ton stones from here? Maybe they really just was more sophisticated than what they may believe, because how people would look at us 500 years from now and be like, oh man, they didn't, their technology was weak and they're flying in the air. I mean, but we're still able to drive and go here and get in planes and do things. It's just that is our era in time. So it's just fascinating to me, and it's frustrating. Just, hey, believe this stuff was just made from people's minds that are capable of doing it at that particular time. That's it. Move on.
you know, I feel like they don't want to give Africa their props. They don't want to give
They don't.
Mexico their
No,
props. You
They
know,
don't.
no.
everywhere else, every other brilliant, you know, contribution that other cultures have made in other places other than, you know, Europe. And you know, this history is just, you know, like that's a whole nother that's the biggest conspiracy, history.
Yeah. What are they hiding?
Yes.
Like, what don't they want us to know? I guess they're
Mm.
reptiles. There we go.
They
Yes.
don't want to know that we came to Earth on an asteroid and knocked out all the dinosaurs, and then we just started Earth. Or we just started human life right then and there. I mean, that's the biggest thing that always scared me, because whoever is in control of history technically controls the world,
Facts.
Which
and
is
it's
the Catholic
scary.
Church. You know, that's pretty much the biggest history is whatever they fucking wrote in their goddamn Bible. And
Right.
that's how it
Right.
is. And we all know they're liars. So I'm sure they lied about the Bible too.
Yeah.
Just
That's
made
a
themselves
whole
look good.
that's a whole other, ooh, I can get into that
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah,
That's something that
yeah.
that's
The
not,
the Bible is the biggest conspiracy theory
Yeah, so why does
ever.
the Catholic Church get away with whatever the fuck they want? Like,
exactly.
what the hell? You just give them
Mm.
money and they do stuff and they're like, oh,
People forget that, you know, the Bible is supposed to be like man's interpretation of what might have happened and what happened. Like we can all like read the same book and interpret it differently.
Differently.
And the author could say, oh, well, that wasn't my intention. So it just,
Right.
it's all about intentions. And I think people
I
forget
feel
that
like,
when they start
yeah.
talking about the Bible.
Yeah. I feel the author left out parts. You know what I mean? I feel the author kind of went through all the pages and was like, let's take this and this and this, and oh, we're pretty bad here, so let's leave that out. And
Exactly. It's the
like you
biggest.
see it now, just shit coming out that the government's doing, and we have proof, and they can't hide it anymore, right? I mean, the Bible goes too far back. We can't prove they're lying there, but I have my suspicions.
Well, they still want to hide it, banning TikTok and everything. Because at this point, TikTok and Twitter is the most accurate source of news. It's a lot of misinformation, but I feel like I get a lot of information from them versus watching the news sometimes. Because I could look at something on the news and I'm like, oh, this ain't that bad. Then I look on TikTok, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on over here in China?
Yeah, because
France?
it's the average Joe is standing right there with his camera and posted it really fast.
Right.
And once you put the right hashtag, I mean, it just keeps going and it doesn't change. That is the video and it just keeps going. And so
The video is the video.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what about you, Mark? What's your number 6?
Actually, I was looking at this on one of the YouTube channels. I think it's MarkOEstes or it was Paranormally Listed. One of the, I think they're owned by the same group of people. The assassination of King Umberto of Italy. For a quick, just I guess summarization. There was a king of Italy named Umberto, and around July 28, 1900, he hit a lot of assassination attempts on his life. So he went to a restaurant one day and he comes across, I don't know what happened for him to call the manager of the restaurant, but the manager of the restaurant showed up and it was his exact doppelganger. And so everybody was like, oh, and they asked the guy, what's his name? And he said, my name is Umberto. So they had the same name. And he asked them, what day were you born? They had the same birthday. They married the same woman. And I think they were the same age. And so a couple of days later, the king did something. I think he went for some type of event and he asked to see the manager again of the restaurant because they was going to share some more stories, and come to find out the man was killed earlier that day. And while the king was trying to figure out what happened to the manager, he got assassinated finally. So they both died on the same day as well. It just interested me because we all say that we all have a doppelganger out there that looks just like us. But I was like, that's too on the nose, but it's constant. There's a lot of stuff out there about it. Like I did some research on it, and I don't think anything else like that happened in history, but the fact that they looked exactly alike. They had the same name, same birthday, married not the same woman, but they married a woman who had the same name. And they both were killed on the same exact day. It's just, a little eerie. I always thought I had a doppelganger out there. My cousin who recently passed away looked like he could have been like my split twin, except that he was older and taller and skinnier. And everybody always thought we were brothers when we came into the same contact with each other. We came to the same area. Everybody thought we were brothers, and we have 2 separate parents. So of course, my aunt, my oldest aunt is his mother, and the baby boy is my dad in the family. So yeah, just doppelgangers and weirdness.
Thank you for bringing up doppelgangers, because that's one of my biggest fears. That I have someone over in the UK that looks exactly like me, but that's just the evil version of me. Like I'm love spelled backwards, but this person wouldn't be love at all. He just I just feel like he'd have a certain level of swag about him. Dressed in all black, maybe chest open. And he's smoking a cigarette, drinking some wine.
That sounds like your fantasy. That don't even sound like your
I just feel like he's overseas somewhere, just causing havoc, just doing whatever the hell he wants to do.
Who's to say we're not talking to him right now?
I
know. never know. We never know. But thank you for that one. Thank you for that one, Mark. That it reminds me of what also one of my favorite episodes of the Twilight Zone. Where they had the doppelganger. And
Mhm.
it's like it's objectively there's nothing horrifying about it, but like it just kept me up that night, just seeing a guy running out being like, hey, where are you going? And someone who looks just like him just running away. And I'm like, it just all the places where my mind went, like, why are you here?
I'm gonna tell you another scary because within the same week, I saw this episode of Hammer House of Horror on Screen Factory TV. I cannot think of the name of it, but it was about doppelgangers, and this doppelganger, I think it bit you. Like it was like the doppelganger will bite you or something like that. Because it seemed like it was always getting in contact with the person, and then the next thing you know, that person will also have a doppelganger. It was just creepy. It was just like, how is that possible? It was just, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm gonna send y'all the information of the episode later on too. But yeah, it's just you can create doppelgangers.
So Sylvester says, I always wanted a doppelganger, but like 4 of them because I wanted to have a boy band group when I was younger. And then Mika says, my doppelganger is staring at me from across the room. It's an interesting subject. It's a very interesting subject.
Mhm.
Now, Chelsea, what's your number 5?
What was my number 5? Oh, I already rambled about that one, the Catholic Church. Rambled about that one too. I was watching a documentary on Bigfoot, as Canadians do, and they were saying that Bigfoot could potentially be an alien, because a lot of the Bigfoot sightings, when people see Bigfoot and then he disappears, there's like orbs of light around him. So they're thinking that that's why nobody can find him, because he's not technically living on Earth. He's just an alien who can teleport, as we figure aliens can teleport. And he's actually like rather intelligent. And he's just kind of popping in on Earth to do Bigfoot things, I guess.
Interdimensional Bigfoot is so fun. Love it.
I love Bigfoot. He's probably one of my faves.
Who does it?
Love it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yes.
How does he get footage?
I'm about to go find it out now.
Yeah, Bigfoot is definitely up there. It's definitely up there. Bobby says, this reminds me of the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode with T and Tamara. Yes, with the doppelgangers, that chameleon episode. Yes. Now what about you, Allie? What's your number 5?
Chelsea, that was actually kind of perfect because my next one is big cryptid predators, and so stuff like Bigfoot and dogmen, and that maybe we're just not told about them because they don't want people to be afraid of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they don't want people hunting them for like sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yes, they would.
Yes, Dogman. I've sunk a lot of hours on YouTube into Dogman conspiracies.
Have you listened to Dark Waters?
Yes. Oh my God, Allie, Dark Waters. Yo, like I love the story where he says that he was talking to this guy and he was like, "Were you scared?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, I was scared, but I was more so scared of the fact that I was in a position dealing with this dog man where I could do nothing. I was completely helpless. I could do nothing to protect my family."
Oh my God.
And he just it was wild. Like Dark Waters, like he's the guy.
He's got a couple about of like dogmen encounters and sightings after Katrina in New Orleans. And those were some of the scariest ones because it's like you think about like there's no like the lights are out, the power's out, like everything's like in a state of chaos, and that I just feel like that's like a really scary scenario, to see something that you can't explain, and like you don't have anywhere to go, no way to protect yourself. So yeah, Dark Waters, check him out.
Most definitely. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing that up because Dark Waters is definitely one of the ones. He's definitely somebody to check out. Um, we also got Taymon. Thank you for stopping by, Taymon, in the building. What's up? What's up? So my next conspiracy would have to be the world ended in 2012. Really, and it goes with like kind of like the Matrix conspiracy a little bit. They were saying that there were there was someone who had discovered like a God particle, and which I've heard like different theories. It's like one says someone discovered like the God particle, and it pretty much like destroyed the universe, but but like time isn't like necessarily as linear as we think it is. So it's like we don't even realize that, you know, that the earth is finito already. So, and I feel like this is a high ass conversation right now, but like but it's basically like, the reason why it's just been such a crap show like the past decade or so is because we're already like, it's already done, the game's already over. We're in a simulation. Thank you, Tamon. We're in a simulation. So and it's very intricate. Some people will say the Matrix, but some people will just be like, we are energy and we haven't necessarily caught up to reality yet, in that sense, and that's why we had all those movies and shows and books and everything focusing on, in the Mayan calendar, focusing on 2012. So it's very, I don't know, it creeped me out. It definitely creeped me out at a certain point, but now I'm like, well, shit, I believe it. If somebody came on TV and was just like, oh yeah, this is what it is, and and the president came up and Michelle Obama was like, it is what it is. It happened in 2012. Like I'll be like, all right, I believe it. I believe it. So yeah, that's my number 5. What about yours, Ivotres?
Oh,
Oh, we
Your mic.
oh yeah, you might.
Sorry.
She was going in. I was like, okay.
um, okay, I have several. That's what I was saying, but I'm gonna talk about one you rarely hear about, and I think it's just very interesting, and that's spontaneous human combustion.
Ooh.
You really don't hear about it. So I mean from what
The big book of mysteries.
listen, please, I'm not trying to cut you off, but I had irrational fears about this when I was a kid. I thought that if I thought about human combustion too much, I was gonna burst in the flames. So I'm sorry, go on.
You know what? There was a time, I don't know if any of you guys remember, but years ago, I want to say maybe in the 90s or something, that was a big talk. Like, because weird stuff, people were just discovering weird stuff, and that was one of them. And it was like, okay, can you just spontaneously like combust? Like, because we have like, things in our body, like the fat could burn, and it's like, you may, yeah, you see kid, you rub your feet across the floor and you get a spark, if you where you like just poof, or whatever. But these people burn to a just ashes. They don't burn anything else. It's just they just burst into flames and just like ash right there. But there was something I was reading about. It's called Fire Starters and Matchless Mayhem. And one of the first things that happened was in the 1400s, where they'll just find bodies in front of fireplaces or sitting in couches where it's completely just burned to a crisp, but you could see the whole body form.
Wow.
And I just think that is so interesting, because even today, people still wonder, can we burn like that? But they also connect it to people that uses like telepathic thinking from across the way, like, oh, I'm gonna burn the hell out of someone, and they just burst, into flames. And can you put yourself in that situation to make that actually happen? I mean, it's like a whole, people believe that. I mean, they used to, but you know what? Back in the day, there was no safety. I mean, they would just have candles burning around, and wicks and oils, and no one understood any of that. But I don't know. It's just scary, because sometimes I'd be like, "Ooh, I'm hot," and it's but it's a hot flash, So, see,
Yes.
it would that happen, like, because I get a hot flash? I mean, all jokes aside, but they would literally find just the person's body form and like burnt completely up to ashes. That's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
It's possible. I guess like seeing so much stuff on television, like where someone farts or burps and they light a match and then you get a big flame. So I think there's something to be said about the human anatomy and combustion. You
I've
know,
witnessed it.
with the flame.
Somebody farted. One of my friends in college, they lit a match, and somebody farted in front of the match. And the match, woof, and it was like, hell no!
yeah,
And I
that's
was like, no. But yeah, I witnessed it.
and they didn't get burned.
No, I don't know how they didn't get burned, but I was like, I don't know. I just was blown away by the fact that shit actually happened. I'm like, y'all just pull some South Park shit here, and I'm not for that. So,
Well, you
yeah.
know what's interesting, because it says here, for wood to ignite, it needs at least about 660 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, Now, for a body to just completely turn into ash, you need 3,000 degrees
Oh, Jesus.
right then and there. And they even have a possible explanation, what they've called it, the wick effect. um and it even says, like, cigarette smoking, it needs a heat source, and the victim's hair, clothing can catch fire like a wick. And the fatter you are, the most likely you can just burst into flames, because it's like candle wax.
Oh my God.
So without destroying your surroundings, depends on if you eat that greasy chicken all the time or fatty foods, you have enough to just burn, I guess. Well,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
Still, like, I've accidentally lit my hair on fire, like with a
Oh,
lighter or whatever, and your whole body doesn't go up. Like the hair sizzles. You'd have to have something in your
well,
hair.
it's yeah, it says well, a victim's hair catch fire, like the victim's hair catches fire, but then if it gets to your body, so you stopped it before it could get to your body. But it also says, like, if you have a lot of fatty stuff, like maybe, I don't know, it says body, like if you're more overweight, or if you have some kind of oils or grease or something
yes.
like that. I mean, they call it the wick effect. Like, you just can't put it out. Like, even if
Yeah.
you roll around, you just completely engulfed right then and there. I have no idea, but that's
Jesus.
scary.
It is.
And the
Yeah.
way I just cooked some chicken today, I'm just like,
And I'm a chicken hawk. I fuck some chicken up.
Yeah, it's this series on Showtime called like Seven Deadly Sins, and they were talking. It was
Oh,
this
yeah.
mortician talking about it, and he was talking about like how flammable, like he has to like suck some of the fat out of people because when they're sitting there, propped up in the casket. Like certain things can.
You mean laying down in the casket?
Yeah. Well, listen, it's 2023. I saw
I've
a
seen
man.
some
I saw
on a
man standing
motorcycle.
up. Yeah, they doing it fancy nowadays.
Yeah. I want to
So-
be laid down when I'm dead and gone. I don't want to be standing up at the repast while everybody's sitting there eating around me. I want to be laid down. I want to be
I
laid
want to be
down.
planted as a tree, one of those like tree.
I would
No,
prefer. No, I would prefer to be. I want to be cremated. I know we went off topic, but I want to be cremated though. But because I don't want anything crazy to happen, and I want to spread my ashes all across the world. So I don't want to be in the ground. Or I could do the tree thing where they can put your body in the ground, build a tree, whichever one. I can spread my air, whatever. But nah, they're doing the prop up thing. That's a conspiracy theory in itself. Why are we propping up bodies at funerals and repasts?
Well, that used to be the thing way back in the Victorian times where they would just take the bodies and dress them up and take pictures. Now you have to remember we have instant camera. They didn't back then. So why they didn't prop someone up with toothpicks in their eyes and there'd be a line like your little sister, 3 years old, who passed away. The little brother is holding her and the whole family is around and they have to stand there for minutes on end as they're, they put the sheet over their head to take the photo. So
Oh
that
my
is
God.
a normal thing back then. It was post-mortem photos. So what we find disgusting and crazy and creepy is something they used to do way back in 1400s, 1500s. I mean, all the way up to the early 1900s is propping people up and remembering that way, even though Susie head keeps moving. But have you noticed if you look at those photos, the person that is dead, their picture is very still, it's very clear, versus the people around them, you could see them kind of, a little out of focus. And that's how you can always tell who was the most dead.
Well, thank you for that nightmare.
That's
So
a-
even
now.
even though it's crazy
Anyone
to see
know?
someone propped up on a motorcycle or next to a piano or something like that, but I think back then it wasn't propped up next to something like that. It was like a family photo. It's like 10 of them, but 3 are dead, and it's like, who's it? So.
oh shit. Ooh.
But that was
Okay.
normal back
I know.
then. So.
Well, yes, Tamar
I didn't
says,
change the mood in the room.
how can I resurrect you if you're cremated, Mark? That's what,
Do you really want to resurrect me, Tamar, with me going to the other side and getting hold of some powers and coming back? Y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want that.
The most dead in competition. Yeah, they were
Yes.
competition because no, I'm serious. Like they were so into death was so normal because remember the Black Plagues and all this stuff. I mean, you would walk down the street and bodies are just there, and then they have people wearing those certain. I don't know. Have you ever seen them? They look like bird beaks, but inside they would have incense and stuff, so they didn't smell the fumes because it was smelled of death. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people just fall out from scarlet fever and lupus or whatever they got going on. And I mean, to actually get a body, your sister, brother, mom, uncle, and sit next to you to take a photo. But they didn't have embalming that much. I mean, so they only had just enough time to keep the body from being stiff, to take the photo. Wow. It was quick. Oh, sister's dead. Go get dressed. We got to take a family photo. I mean, that's how it was. And they would literally sew the eyes open.
Oh, jeez.
And put things like some of them have their eyes open. Some are just, I mean, look it up. It's crazy, but it's normal.
I heard.
Are you all right, Mark?
No, it's just I didn't know they did all the songs because I wasn't like looking all the. I haven't dug into it that deep. I know that when they used to have funerals in living rooms and in parlors and stuff like that before they started taking them to the church. But I noticed that they will always have to put sheets over the mirrors because they said that you should not have a mirror visible in the room with the dead body, because I think they said that the spirit can transform itself, not transfer, but transfer itself into the mirror. I might have mixed it up, but I do know I read this somewhere. But I think it was
Yeah.
actually an episode of the Twilight, not Twilight Zone, but the Tales from the Dark Side
I,
too.
I read something like that too, where they would cover up the mirrors because they didn't want. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you know what? In today's, you do not have to have the body in a funeral home. There
Right.
is no law in some states. You can actually have a body propped up in your living room now. You don't have to be embalmed. It's just a service because no one wants to smell that or look at that. But yet you can, if you own land or property, you could bury the body in the backyard. You can have a luncheon with the body standing in a corner. I mean, it's just now in modern times, we don't find that appealing. So, but anyway.
Wow.
Can you bury a body in the backyard there? Because you're not allowed to here. It's illegal. Not that I've like checked or anything, but like even pets, you're legally not allowed to bury it.
Some states, if you own the property, not the bank own the property, but like if you have a deed to the land that is your land, you can in certain states. Yeah.
See, we can't. There's a health hazard apparently. Your dead dog seep into the water of the city or something, and
well, you would have to do like a whole casket. You know, you can't just
Maybe call my parents
someone.
and get off of here.
Yeah.
Like another bit.
So Mark, what's your number 5?
Well, I've had pets in the back in the day that I got to contact my parents and make sure that they are okay to be buried where they're at. But in on August 17th, 1841, there was in Lebanon, Tennessee, on a tobacco farm, an incident that they called the Rain of Blood. Slaves on the farm reported that drops of blood fell from a red cloud that was flying overhead. A doctor visited the field and his findings were reported in the American Journal of Science. His theory was that about a tornado like wind might have taken up part of an animal which was in a state of decomposition and had brought it in contact with an electric cloud. That's all I have for right now. But the reason why I picked this one is because I've always wanted to write a novella about red rain dropping on an unsuspected small town in Tennessee. So it's just creepy that this actually happened back in. It's not well. Lebanon is like 2 hours away from it from me right now, but the fact that it actually happened, and also the Peter Gabriel song "Red Rain" is also inspiration for that. But it's just weird. So to have a red rain cloud happen all of a sudden,
Red rain cloud. That's wild. That's wild. That'd be something to see, especially and you throw lightning in there.
yes.
That's very interesting. Very interesting.
When you're saying that, the first thing that popped in my head was Nope.
Yes.
Mhm.
So even though we all know what it was, but that image of rain,
Yeah.
I wonder, did he have some influence from that? Or
I don't know. Now that you mentioned it, now I feel like I can't do my short story because there would be so reminiscent of Nope.
You
No,
could totally
do it.
yeah, no, you can still
Totally.
talk about it.
There's so many reports of like weird stuff falling from the sky, like fish, jelly, like just weird things. So go for it.
Yep, watch me. I remember. Yep, y'all right.
Frogs.
Yeah.
Frogs. In New Orleans or Georgia, my mom used to tell me it used to rain frogs.
Oh wow, shit.
I'm thinking, what was it? Vegas. Like there was on the news, all these crickets like flying around, and it was like a swarm.
Oh
Like
wow.
crickets. It was wild. So it's always something to draw from, as far as the weird and the strange. All right, so we're now we on number 4. Allie, what's your number 4?
I have the woods in general. There's no like theory there other than what is wrong with the woods? Why do weird things happen in the woods? Like I'm thinking of Missing 411 because that's like one of my favorite like outdoor conspiracies. And I don't know if you guys have seen that documentary Missing 411 The Hunted.
The Hunted. I gotta write that down.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Missing 401 The Hunted.
Yeah, it's just people like people with like a lot of outdoors experience who go missing, and there's no like they don't know what happens to them. I don't know. It freaks me out. And again, it ties into that big cryptid predators theory. And like some people think that the national parks are like lying about it because they don't want people to be afraid to go into the woods. And it's interesting.
I was listening to a podcast. It's called the Higher Side Chats, and it was like years ago. And they have an episode. They had a whole episode dedicated to that, like about how all these people disappear in these national parks every year, and they don't talk about it, you know. And they're like, but they think it's like some. I think it's like people living out there, basically, like people who aren't ingrained in society.
Off the grid. Yeah.
Off the grid. You know?
The episode of well, I didn't like the episode, but the episode of American Horror Stories about I forget what it's called, but that
I know what you're talking about.
I saw that one. Yeah,
that I didn't like it, but it still creeped me out because, like they said, that story stemmed from what Allie, what you said was the national parks having like these underground caverns. It's like this underground society of people, and I'm like, Jesus, because there also was the story on, I think, Real Life Nightmare where this kid went missing. Like he was 3 years old. His mom and dad and his grandfather and a grandfather's friend, and they went. Yeah, he went.
So
they found him yet.
Yeah, there's a couple. So there's 3 Missing 411 documentaries. The first one is the story that you just talked about, Mark, with the kid who goes missing. The second one is The Hunted, and that's like with the hunters and like outdoorsy people who go missing. And then the third one they just came out with, I didn't like it that much, but it was called The UFO Connection. And it was talking a little bit about like what you were talking about, Chelsea, like with the lights out in the woods and stuff like that, and like people seeing things, and they can't find like Bigfoot for that reason. So everybody's gonna sleep well tonight.
No. I stay in a wooded area, so no.
Speaking of woods, no, I'm not gonna talk about that. Well, because it's kind of gloomy.
Oh.
Well, not really. I mean, because there's I don't know if you ever heard of that forest, the suicide forest.
Yes.
Yeah, like I saw a movie that came out with something about that. I can't even remember what it was called, but it was kind of whack, but I liked how it was the story of or whatever, but that is creepy. I mean, people going to a forest to just off themselves. Right. I mean, they would take they're so kind to take their shoes off before they go in and leave them because they have piles of shoes of people, of babies on to adults, and they would take whole families in there and do terrible things. And it's supposed to be haunted as well of those spirits. And when you said woods, I was like, oof.
Yeah, suicide forest is a mess.
I can't go camping.
Me neither.
What? I mean, nowadays, like I've gone camping when I was younger, but nowadays we go glamping. You know, there's a toilet, there's a stove, there's plugs,
locked doors.
You know. Yeah, I can bring my PlayStation. You know, I maybe bring the projector. You know,
yeah. So that's the like safe way.
But
anyway.
Yes, the wood is pre-chopped for me. You know, I pay a fee. You know, but yes, thank you for that one, Allie. Thank you for that one. What about you, Mark? What's your number 4?
My number 4 is actually something similar. Again, I've watched Real Life Nightmares. I watch a lot of true crime stuff. I know we all do. The Kenny Veach story, where he went missing in the Mojave Desert. And he was a very popular outdoorsman. He liked to go hiking in these desert areas. And he came across this what he called an M cave. The cave was shaped like an M, and he got these weird vibrations from it, and he kept writing about it on his YouTube blog and stuff. And then he went back to try to go into the cave, and he's been never found ever since. And they said that he noticed that the first time that he got close to the cave, that his cell phone was not picking up any service, but he was managing to take a picture, I believe. And also, this area was surprisingly very close to Area 51. So
Mm.
Wow.
that was an hour. I think that's the longest episode of Real Life Nightmare that they had. Because I was watching it and I actually dozed off for a bit, and I woke up and said, "Is this still on?" And I had to rewind back to see where I left off at. But yeah, I mean, it also reminds me of the guy who was doing something for the black guy. I forget what his name is, but I don't know if that's the same area. But he went missing in the desert too, and all I could think of was the hills have eyes. You know what I'm saying? Because it was so close to the Area 51, and probably where they were doing like the nuclear tests and stuff like that,
Yes.
or just that area. That's one place in the United States outside of national parks that I don't want to be caught in is the like desert out there, because I wouldn't know how to act. I'll probably go mad the first 30 minutes just being out there by myself.
Mark, have you watched the Outwaters yet?
No, but I want to.
Oh,
Curious what you think about it when you see it.
Okay, I have to
thank
get
you.
in there.
Thank you for bringing that up, Ali. I have not seen it, but I've heard people who love Skinamarink love the Outwaters, so I'm
Wait,
excited
and then
to.
that's a whole other conversation. I'll wait till we get done. Because I haven't seen
Skinamarink?
neither. No, I haven't seen either one. I'm just saying that I know people who hated Skinamarink prefer the Outwaters. But you
I
said
was gonna say vice versa for me. I prefer Skinamarink, but the Outwaters is kind of what you're talking about. So I like it.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, yes. So I guess I'll hit us with my number four. Um, and this is a fun one that I had recently discovered. The Cupid theory, that a lot of times when you feel like an animal attraction with someone, or like chemistry with someone who you didn't necessarily think that or stereotypically that would be your type or whatever, that it's actually alien interference, like the aliens are actually playing Cupid. Yeah. That's And they're doing it with certain people because they know, like, okay, like it's a part of the whole manipulation thing. They know that if you put this person together and this person together, then this is going to happen, and then we can use them to push this agenda. As well as it also ties into food, because they do it with food as well. And some people say it's aliens, but some people say it's fairies. And that's why there's like this thing of you not taking food from fairies, or or like, I know I'm going way left footed, but yeah, but yeah, yeah. I was like, okay, I've never met a fairy. At least I don't think so. But I know in a lot of horror stories and lore, they're terrifying. So I'm glad
Oh
I've
yeah.
never met one. Or maybe they are. Maybe they're nice. Maybe they're nice. But but that whole theory, it just made me think, wow, like now I know if I'm ever in that situation, not to take the food. I'm not going to take the bread from the fairy or the um although I feel like I feel like I'm a contradiction, because I would take the leaf from the alien, but so yeah, maybe it's my comfortability level. Maybe I just feel comfortable um taking leaves from aliens, but not food from fairies and aliens. So um yes, that was my number four. What about you, Chelsea? What's your number four?
I am going to bring up shadow people.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
And they are probably like the creepiest things that I think about constantly. I saw a shadow person when I was younger. I had like a shadow person situation until I was like in my 20s.
Wow.
And like it was the creepiest thing because then you get like the sleep paralysis and all that. And it's just so bizarre to like, and I always wonder what they are. Like, are they aliens or are they more of the spirit world? Or is it all intertwined, right? And like, what the fuck do they want is always kind of the thing too. And I imagine it's more of an energy thing. I think they're trying to like take your energy like the little children. But yeah, no, they're not delightful. And I just always wonder, like, what the hell, man? Like, why you gotta be like that? Right? Like,
Chelsea,
like,
there's a. Oh, sorry.
sorry, what?
I was going to tell you there's a documentary. I don't know, have you guys seen it on Netflix called The Nightmare? And it's all about like the Shadow Man, the Hat Man, sleep paralysis.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
That
The nightmare.
terrifying
Yeah.
stuff.
It's funny because like, yeah, it was creepy. And then I watched it. I'm like, if I watch this, is it going to come back? You know what I mean? Like, did I just like, remove it from my mind? But it didn't. So that was
Right
good.
now.
That's why I haven't watched it yet, right there, Chelsea, because I'm scared that because I have real bad nightmares and I have sleep paralysis a lot. And so I was like, I'm gonna trail this into my dreams tonight, and then I'll be sitting there screaming and slashing, and nobody's gonna be like caring, like, oh, he's in there doing something, God knows what. And then 5 days later, no call, no nothing. My parents sit there and find me in a mask of death or something like that. I'm so scared to watch it by myself. I know I'm being extra, but it's after all the shit I be watching, but I'm like, it's certain things I don't try to watch by myself.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I hear you. I don't do demonic possession by myself. Like those movies before bed or at night, just on my own. I'm like, no, thank you.
I mean, I have to have someone in the house. Like Jaleesa laughs all the time because I'll watch Skinamarink or some demonic possession alone in another room while she's there. But if she's like out with friends, she knows I'm in the house watching cartoons or some shit.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because I
But I do that too. I have cartoons that I watch like after something scary because I live alone now, and I have like a list of movies that I want to watch, but I'm too scared to watch because I'm by myself. So sometimes I'll put one on, and then I just have like Scooby Doo, or I'll have it on like Teletoon like immediately after, and you throw on a few episodes, and it just kind of calms everything down, and you don't think about it before bed.
that's probably why I'm hard headed because my parents are like, you have all this horror crap in your house. You have figures, you have posters, but you get scared so easily. I'm like, does it not scare you? I'm like, I know all this fake. It's different when something moves. Nothing ever moves in here. And when I was staying with them right after I got out of college, I was Halloween night, I decided to watch a marathon of horror movies, and they decided to go out to some church thing on Halloween night. When they came home, I had fell asleep on the couch, and they found a big butcher knife right beside me, and they were like, "Did you put that there?" I said, "Yes," because I was scared. I had scared myself to sleep because I would start hearing shit. I started hearing shit, and I had my dad's super powerful stereo system on, so Blair Witch Project, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was hearing all the crickets and all the branches tweaking and breaking and stuff. So they're like, "Boy, we done told you about that mess. You gonna mess yourself up one night." I'm like, "No, I'm careful." I asked my dad to bless the house, so that's one of the reasons why things don't fall in here. So
Well, there you go.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sharing.
I love the shares. I love the shared experiences. What about you, Ivotres? What's your number 4?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with something that just created havoc all over the world, not just in Salem. It's witchcraft. Yeah, witchcraft. And there's standard witchcraft, and then there's voodoo. Now that's a whole nother hours of, but I'll try to briefly. But yeah, witchcraft. I mean, it's so interesting that they have it started back in the day, like 13th century, where it's like, okay, anything that happens, there's a plague or there's a drought or, famine, blame the witches. It's witches, witches, witches. And then it's usually poor people that can't defend themselves or don't have the money to live in lavish areas, or they would just point the finger, you're a witch because of this or that. And they would just murder these people. They would have a trial, and then they would put you in a situation where you can't even defend yourself. I mean, there's the swim test where they just like tie you up on a chair and dip you in the water. If you float, you're a witch. I mean, it's kind of like, well, wait a minute. you know, if you sink, you're this. And it was just really crazy of how, and it didn't start with Salem. I mean, it started all over the world, was doing all kinds of things to people. And like over 80,000 people that were on trial, they want to say at least half were murdered or as accused witches. I mean, from children to the elderly. And I just find that it's such a sad thing, because it was a lot of paranoia. It was a lot of Christians and Pope. They even had books dedicated to witch hunts. And if you follow this criteria, you were burned at the stake or hung or something. It's just really, really sad of how that. But now it's like there's witch parties, there's witch movies, it started like in the 19th century, where they realized, okay, this is ridiculous, but let's have these seance parties and call upon, Susie from the afterlife or something. But it's celebrated now. I just find all these people died in vain versus now. And then there's voodoo, where there's two types of voodoo from what I was reading. There's white voodoo and black voodoo. White voodoo is just cleansing, keeping the bad spirits away. But then they say there's the black voodoo, where it's like very, you want to cause harm onto people, you want to take your soul into one, put it into another. But I don't believe that's necessarily what it is, but believe what you want. But growing up with the family that lived in the South, they believed in all of that. My mom said it's all real. I've seen people throw up frogs and bleeding from their eyes and stuff like that, and have things in their house and cutting up chickens. And I mean, she saw that and she believed it. So, but I don't know. It's just interesting. One culture finds something horrific and then turn around and just say, oh no, we're just playing, it's okay. But you didn't just have this history of just murdering all these people for something that you didn't even understand. It's just such a sad thing. But I'm glad we're not like that, but we have our own kind of going after people. But
Yep.
it's just so weird. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. Witchcraft.
Yeah. That's something that I've always, when I would read up on it, was think about all those innocents that were killed just because somebody had, a fear, or they could just come up with anything right there on the spot.
Mhm.
Oh, well, she did this, therefore she has to be a witch, or therefore, just like you just had to be on eggshells almost back then.
Well,
To
and to
not
be
draw attention to yourself, and try to just survive, and
Mhm.
then and like some of the stories and stuff, the movies and books and stuff like that would show you most of the people who were actually um surviving or making the declarations were actually the ones who were practicing it. You know what I'm saying? Just to throw the scent off of them, they'll cast some innocent person into the
Exactly.
ground. So
Mhm.
that was the scariest part for me, was like reading about stuff like that. Like you are sitting here with a rope around your neck or a rock to your chest or your feet, and the person who started all this mess leading to your death is the actual one that they're looking for. It's just, and nobody believes you because, like Ivory said, you don't have any stature in the community, you don't have any money, you don't have any type of, you're the lower class, and therefore you have to be cast away. You're expendable, so.
Yeah. I mean, because most of the time we hear it like Salem witch trials or Europe, but man, I mean, it was all
Mhm.
over. I mean, Sweden, France. I mean, people just went nuts. They wiped out like whole cities, towns, like 380 people on, in Germany for in 1581 just because they accused them of witches. I mean, it's more than what we know. It's just Salem is one of the most famous ones because it's here. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
but really all over the world they were just burning everybody and doing all kinds of stuff. But that's that's scary because I think for something like that, I mean, history can repeat itself not through witchcraft, but not understanding a culture or their way of life can lead to something similar to that. And and at some point in history, it has here in the States, when slavery and all that stuff, we didn't understand them, so let's get them. And then now, even though some of that's still going on, there's another group of people that they're after that just seems like it's like, come on, the ones that like, but like you said, Mark, the ones that are pointing the fingers are the ones that are doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's
Terrible.
crazy. It's just interesting how even though in this day and age, like we have, modern cars and cell phones, but we're still, some of us are still in that mindset of thinking one is better than the other. Let's get them. It's crazy.
Mhm.
Screwed up. Screwed up. So that was our number four, So now we on round three. Mark, what's your number three, man?
Number three for me, is the, y'all know I keep it paranormal or supernatural with y'all. It's the supernatural stuff that's going on at UTK, my alma mater,
Hmm.
University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Now, when I got there, I experienced some weird shit. Just ghosts of people in a dorm. Like, there's a dorm that was an all female dorm named Strong Hall, and it was named after this woman. I'm trying to pronounce her name, Sophronia Strong, and they would say her birthday every year, the February 17th, which happened to be my niece's birthday. If she's watching, hey baby, she would like they'll have like parties and stuff like that at the dorm because it was right across the street from the dorm I stayed at, which was Andy Hope, and you could see all of them like partying and stuff like that. But they would also get quiet at a certain hour, just so they can make sure not to disturb her on her birthday. But one of the personal things that happened to me was I was taking a shower in the dorm, and there was no wind coming in there. But all of a sudden, the shower curtain completely wrapped around me to the point where I had to fight myself out of it. Now, keep in
Wow.
mind, Sophronia Hall is like right next door. So I'm like, y'all built this dorm where I guess her house was or whatever. So who's to sit there saying she's not haunting both Sophronia Hall and Andy Hope? I'm not Andy Hope, I'm Clement Hall, excuse me, Clement Hall. Because Clement's still standing, Andy Hope is not.
Wow.
So that's one. They also had right next to Sophronia Hall was it's a walkway on UT. When you go to UT Knoxville, there's an overpass that has the name of the school on it that lets you know you're on campus. Somebody apparently hung themselves there. Or one year somebody was doing snowball fights and they threw a snowball filled with a rock over the thing and it hit somebody's car and killed them. So there's that, and then there's also somebody that hunts the library, which is called Hoskins Library. So that's my number three because that was a big thing for me back then. I got to this big, sprawling Gothic like campus, and thinking because you get the brochures like, oh look at all the cheery happy faces, everybody's so y'all, oh yeah, cool. I got there and I'm like, there are certain places on campus I do not want to be seen at night. So I always would go read up on all the folklore and the history of campus, and the weird shit that went on. Also, when I first moved in, there was a cork board. You know, you had the cork board in your dorm room, and somebody had sprawled and read, "Tomorrow you will see me in a pool of blood."
Hmm.
And I asked my roommate, who had been in there a whole semester before I was, I said, "Did you not see this?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I saw that though, but I put something over it. Why did you take it down?" I said, it nothing took it. I didn't take anything down. It was just sitting there." He's like, "Well, I put something up there when I left." I'm like, "Okay, so let's just say that I didn't stay in Clement Hall for more than a year." And yeah, so that's my number 3. Spooky shit.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that was spooky especially with the shower curtain, you know.
Oh, I screamed like, ooh, they heard me all they heard me, boy. They heard me that night.
Yeah, so Sylvester said that would have been my last day at school. Withdraw me now. What about you, Allie? What's your number 3?
Well, my 2 of them are kind of intertwined, and we already talked about aliens a lot, but one of them was alien abductions and like the government knowing about it, and then the other one related to that was like that Roswell was a warning, and that the government was maybe supposed to start preparing us for extraterrestrial life, and then they didn't, and now they're like feeding us little teaspoons. Like, you know, you had like the hearing in front of the House committee hearing on UFOs, and then like I was telling you guys about like the news and how there might be a mothership out there. Like, it's just like they're trying to normalize it, and so they're just like giving us little like drops of it.
Ooh, ooh. I feel that. Especially with all these random news articles about, you know, them releasing certain things. And
The New York Times.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's how I
It's
felt like during COVID when the government was finally like, yeah, aliens exist. I'm like, why are you telling us that?
Exactly.
And why are you telling us that now?
Aliens come and be like, we done told you. Like, it's not like we were hiding it. I don't know. I feel that was when I thought something shady was up. I'm like, something's gonna happen.
it's like when did you get this information? You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Doesn't matter when they told us.
Could it
It's
be
out
in
there.
1950 something?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you for that one. Thank you for your number 3, Allie. My number 3 is gonna be the hollow Earth, you know, theory, and then, you know, tying that into Atlantis, you know, because there's certain you know stories that have been carried on from generation to generation about, you know, lost cities and things like that. And some people are like, oh, it was in Africa. Oh, it was, you know, over here in Mexico. Oh, it was over here, you know. But I feel like the water, it's just, we have like such uncharted territory down inside the water. Like, we don't even know, or they, at least that's what they tell us. You know, they're like, oh, we can't, you know, we keep going up there. We want to know everything about, you know, the planets and get a telescope and all this stuff. But you know, we only know but so much about, you know, our own planet and what's, you know, below the surface. And I feel like Atlantis could be down there. I feel like it there's a possibility, especially if there are alien beings or just beings, period, you know, down down there. And just they're so deep that we haven't come into contact, or that, you know, the uninitiated haven't come into contact with them, you know. So I feel like Atlantis was a real place, and you know, it definitely ties in with the hollow earth. You know, I know a lot of people, you know, well, I'll save that. This it's another theory, but in case someone brings it up. But you know, I do believe in the hollow. I do believe in the hollow earth. You know, that there is, you know, life uh underground, you know, life underground, you know, in some form of capacity, you know. So yes, that's my number 3. So what about you, Chelsea? What's your number 3?
I'm gonna go with the one that terrifies my child the most, skinwalkers.
Ooh.
And she likes to watch these YouTube videos of like creepy things, and then we like go into a weird little like hole of just really creepy things. And apparently skinwalkers are a real thing. They're not just a YouTube video for, our amusement. The weird thing about them is it's actually from an indigenous culture. I can't remember which tribe it's actually from, but they won't talk about it and they don't want to talk about it. And so when we keep bringing these creatures up into these YouTube videos and that, like they get kind of upset about it because it's not something that you're supposed to be talking about, which then kind of got me thinking, well, maybe there's a reason. I mean, if we're giving these things energy, like constantly, like we're feeding them now that we all know about it.
Yes.
And they're not something you want to like fuck with, right? I mean, one of my greatest fears is just things that possess you, whether it be like, or like looks like you. Like imagine seeing your kid and it looks like your kid, and then it's not your kid, it's the skinwalker. Like,
Oh my
what do you do?
god.
That's why deadites creep me out too, because they can play back and forth, right? Like 1 second it's your mom, and then they're crawling up a fucking bathtub, and
Oh my god.
no, these things are actually like a lore. They're a legend, and I think even on TikTok, I'm bad with like getting actual real information because most of my TikTok watching is like scrolling at 2 a.m. in bed. There's a place where people actually like hear weird noises and they're like, oh, it's a skinwalker, but it's just, like I said, I take it all with a grain of salt, but some of those videos got to be true. Like the things they're hearing at night and just like creepy things. And yeah, no, I don't like those guys. I hope I never run into one, but I think they're out there.
Oh, they're definitely out there. They're definitely out there. I definitely believe in skinwalkers.
Mhm.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Now what about you, Ivotres? What's your number 3?
I'm gonna go back to curses a little bit, but it's about can something as simple as a song make you do things? And a particular song that is one of the most haunted songs. It's called Gloomy Sunday. And it was by a Hungarian in the 1930s who is a composer. And I think his name is Seress or something like that. And he was down on his luck. His girlfriend left him or divorced him or something like that. And he just couldn't make any money. And he made this song. But when he made it, he put so much like turmoil into it. And he was so sad about it that when people hear it, they become so stricken with so much sadness that they would off themselves and
Wow.
jump out of windows. And but they would find people even hanging, clutching the sheet music.
Oh my god.
And this was back during the Depression. And it's such a famous song that it was banned in Hungarian, Hungary, like completely banned. Like you could not play or hear that song because it is known to have so much turmoil. Now, the lyrics have changed a little bit, but Billie Holiday has a version that's so sad. Like it's so sad when you listen to it. And I listened to it several times. And I'm still here. So that's a good thing. But when you listen to her version of the way she sings it, now we all listen to Billie Holiday at some point, and she just has an amazing voice. But the lyrics, you do feel a sense of sadness. And it's also believed the song is cursed because after she sung the song, like her singing career started going downhill. She started drinking, doing drugs. Like she started getting like her liver started going out. Like she lost all her money. She had nothing but change in her pocket when they found her. And she went in the hospital and just died a really bad death. But anyone who have seen the song have had some kind of their career do a turn or of the worst or something. But rather it's good, like it could be like really bad or just something didn't go right for them. But there's so many versions of that song, but I just think it's so curious that someone could make a song or scare people so badly that it can make them want to do things. Now, if you listen to the song under like the original, music, you do have a weird feeling that comes across you. Like it's I can't explain it, but I never finished it. I only finished it the Billie Holiday version. But it is one of the most terrifying haunted songs called Gloomy Sunday.
Gloomy
So
Sunday.
Who sang the
Wow.
original one?
his name is Rezo Cyrus. He's the pianist and composer of that song. And then there's many different versions, but they changed the lyrics of it because people have been just it's between 17 and over 100 suicides
Oh
just
my God.
listening to that. So they would find the song, like the record, the sheet music, they're clutching it, holding it against their chests. They then took poison and all this stuff. But yeah, it's I actually said the lyric when I did Preternatural Mysteries and we talked about that topic. I actually said all the lyrics from Billie Holiday, and I had to put a disclaimer on the before I said it, all the words. So it's creepy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
but then it was during the Depression, so everybody was jumping out of
Yeah.
windows
Of
and
course.
of anything. So if you're listening to something so sad, I mean, I think it just adds a little bit of it. But the song is about a guy who loves his girlfriend, but he killed himself, but his spirit lived on, and then she found out and killed herself. And then he was calling her to come back, but she can only come back as a spirit, but he didn't know as a spirit that she did kill herself. So when she showed up, she was a spirit, and he made him more sad. Yeah, it's a very
Oh
sad song.
damn. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Gloomy Sunday.
Nina says one of her favorite songs. It's haunting, a beautiful song. I've only heard Billie Holiday's version, and I listen to it often during spooky season. Had no idea it was cursed.
Sorry.
I'm laughing with Sylvester.
What do you say?
Christy out here cursing for spooky season. Oh man.
Yeah, I be coming across some interesting things out there.
Oh yeah. Now we on round two. Mark, what's your number two, man?
Oh God, y'all gotta excuse me for this one, because I'm trying to pull from memory. This was an unsolved mysteries episode.
Oh
That's
no.
terrible. I'm talking about one of the new Netflix ones, the ones that are like 40 some odd minutes long. It's about this family that were, I think they were in, I want to say somewhere in Europe, and the father, something happened where they had money, but the father, for some reason, I think he was expecting his dying father to leave them all the money. And when the man didn't, I think he found out that his dad was broke. So he eventually went and killed everybody in his family. But they didn't know they were dead. They thought that they was on vacation somewhere because they made it seem as if they were going on vacation. So they all thought that they was away on vacation. They just never returned. Come to find out, somebody went and dug up one grave in the backyard of their house and found one of the bodies. And if they got through digging around the backyard, they found the rest of the family except for him. He even killed the family dog and put it back there too, to make it seem like they all were going on vacation. And so they went on a hunt looking for him, and they tracked that he, took money out of certain places and stuff like that. And I think they last tracked him to some forest or deserted area, rocky area in either South Europe or somewhere else. And they had not found him to this day. They think he went in the middle of somewhere and just disappeared and killed himself. So that always stuck with me out of all those new unsolved mystery episodes. Was that it was from season 1 of the new unsolved mysteries on Netflix.
That was
because, yeah. You know what I'm
Okay.
talking about, Alan? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I was gonna say too, the messed up thing about that one is that the father, he killed everybody in the family, and then he had the older son come home from college, and he killed
That's
him
what it
like
was.
2 days later. So it
Right.
was like it just like lasted for. It was creepy.
I mean,
Wow.
just that just get back my skin crawl right now thinking about it, because it was so methodical how he went about doing it, and he kept the rules up because they always travel, so folks didn't think nothing of it, and then to come to find out that he did all that, it
Mm,
just over money, just people snap over money and just I don't know, that scared me.
Oh
mm,
yeah.
mm.
Oh yeah. It's always something. It's always something. Now, Allie, what's your number two?
We already talked about alien abductions, so it was again just like that the government is have do they know about them, and have they agreed to let like aliens abduct like X amount of people? I think they talked about this in the movie Dark Skies, because
Mm.
so many people have reported like during their alien abductions that like humans are present, other humans are present. So
Mm-hmm.
just
That
a
is a
major one.
frightening, frightening movie. Frightening.
Yes,
I
yeah,
cannot watch that by myself. That is
not
the
at night
only
anyway.
movie I cannot ever in my life of history of horror movies, the only one that I cannot watch by myself.
Okay, I'm a I'm gonna watch
It's a
it
good one.
tonight. Then.
You gonna watch it tonight?
I'm gonna try to watch it tonight.
It
I'm gonna try to
is
watch it tonight.
frightening. I don't know.
Wow.
It is. It's really frightening, right, Allie? Isn't it
No, it's
frightening?
good. It's good. It's one of
Yeah,
my top
it got
alien
me. It
flicks.
got me. I was under the covers.
All right. So thank you for that one. That's a just the Dark Skies. I forgot how scary that one was. I remember when I first saw it. It was yeah. It was one of the ones. It was one of the ones.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah. So we're gonna go to Ivories. Because she's about to roll out in a little bit. So can we get your two Ivories? Hit us with that 1-2 combo.
Okay, we got 1-2 combo. Actually, this can be a combo. I'm gonna talk about an experience that I had and two different things, and they do kind of so sleep paralysis.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
I used to have it all the time, and that is not good. And another thing about that is the nightmares from reality versus, is it really there? Because, when you go to sleep, it's supposed to be part of your brain shuts off so you don't run around, and then the other part is up so you can be aware, but it also is the dream. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, so I'm gonna talk about two things that happened to me that relates to one. When I was about 10 years old, I had a severe night terror slash sleep paralysis. I was sleeping in the bed, and I was up. I knew I was up, but something was coming, and it was a dark figure, and it was hovering, like it wasn't even touching the ground. It was moving very slowly, and I had my eyes open in the dream or nightmare, but they were also closed. So I was aware that I was awake and half sleep. So it was kind of weird. So I'm looking at it and it's coming, and I couldn't, and I was trying to wake up, like get up, but my mouth body was
Oh, jeez.
frozen and I was just laying flat. But then the bed started shaking really, really hard. And so as I woke up, the bed was still moving. The figure was gone. And then it was like I was felt a release. And I jumped up, got into bed, and I was sharing the room with my niece. And she woke up and was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Something was trying to get me in my bed." And she knew it was real. Like, I believed it. My heart was shaking. I was sweating, and I didn't sleep in my bed for like a week because I knew it was there. And that happened when I was 10. That was like the worst thing that ever happened. Now, another thing is these night walkers or something like that. Um, I had a really, really terrifying dream where I was, this was like a few years ago. I was in a house and had stairs, and then it was like a walkway upstairs. So I was downstairs and I saw something looking around the corner, but I could only see like part of its face, but it had like a dark eye and it was very light. And then when I was going to step upstairs, it darted back. And then I stepped downstairs and then it looked. And then I said, for some reason I started to go up the stairs, and then that's where it started. Most of its body came out, and all I saw was this head and these dark eyes. I ran out the door, ran down the street, and I can hear the pity pats of it's getting closer and closer and closer. And finally, when I turned, I saw it and I woke up and I drew it. I woke up, it had to have been like 4 a.m, and I drew it because I was sweating. And the next day I posted it on Facebook. I said, oh my God, I had this nightmare. And people were saying, oh my God, those are night walkers. It's just the head and the long legs. Like they have like photos and pictures or whatever. And I've never heard of them. That was the first. And I just had to.
Crawlers?
Huh?
Fresno night crawlers?
Oh, night crawlers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Night walkers. Well, they were walking. I don't know. But that, I actually have the picture. I still have it on my computer. Like I took a photo, and if I had it on my phone, I would definitely show you. But it was it felt so real because it felt like I felt the wind outside, me running down the street, but the pity pats of it's closer and closer. I mean, I shouldn't have turned around, but you turn around, and it's right there, right there. And I woke up, but I've never had a dream like that again, or anything similar. I never even heard of them. That was the first time. And yeah, that was, so it's like, sometimes I wonder dreams or, how, it's real versus, it's a dream. And
Right.
I was watching something where they said, try to make yourself aware you're dreaming.
Right.
And it's like, how do you do that? Like, I don't even know if you could, because you would have to wake up your unconscious mind in your dream. But what if you get stuck? I mean,
I've heard that's
know.
a nightmare.
Right.
Like that's a like when people say that when they are conscious that they're dreaming and they like interact with someone in their dream, everyone starts looking at them and they start like running after, like it turns to hell. So I've that's what I've heard, like like dream walking and stuff like that. Like I've heard it's not a good idea.
Yeah,
There's a thing about it though. Like I play around with like lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
And, like go in your dream and like walk around in that, but you just gotta be careful.
Yeah, I won't even try it because, but sometimes I know I'm dreaming, but I won't go the extra step to wake myself up in the dream. Because then what if you're like what if that's the coma? Mm-hmm. You're stuck.
See,
but if you do it right, you can change your dream. Because I learned to do it because I used to have really bad nightmares, and then now if I'm in a dream and something's like taking a turn for the worse, I can pinch myself, and if I don't feel it, then I know I'm dreaming, and then you can like fuck with that dream. Like if Jason's chasing me in a river or something, I can just jump and I just fly, and I'm just like peace, and I just fly off into like.
Okay, the creepy part about that is, okay, if you're able to do that, can you be hurt? Because the part that is shut off, it keeps you from being hurt, from feeling, from moving. So if you wake all that up and be just conscious completely, can you be hurt in your dream? So if you jump off a bridge or jump off something and you usually fly, but you don't, but in the dream you fall and you just get up and you go to work and have your life. But in this one, if you wake up, can you feel what your mind is preventing you from doing? From moving and feeling.
Had like where I fall off a cliff and I've woken up and it feels like you fell in the bed, whether I did or not, I don't know. But you kind of get like feeling like like I don't know if I was like levitating or what, but you just kind of feel that jump onto the bed, right?
Yeah.
And that's like the only thing I've ever really felt like.
Ooh.
I like the concept. I like all of this because this is one of the reasons why I love the Nightmare on Elm Street series is because of all this conversation right here. Because it dreams and nightmares terrify me. So I want to learn more about them. So knowing that I'm not the only person that experienced these is comforting. So I don't know. I just wanted to just put that out there. That's just amazing.
Mm.
Can I ask a question?
To who?
Everybody, has everybody here had sleep paralysis at some point?
I know I am.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's creepy.
I used to have it a lot.
That's
lot.
scary. All of us
Like you
have
just
had it.
know, you're just there, and you
And
know,
you can't move.
and then you're just like you're trying to, and then finally, and then you make a noise or something, and then you come out of it. But my always fear is like if you don't fight it, what happens to you?
Right.
Because
you know
everybody
somebody's in
always
the room.
fight it.
Right.
Yeah. Like would you just like go somewhere or I don't know. I don't want to find out. But anyway, but yeah, I have to go. I'm so sorry, but
Thank you.
Thank you
for stopping by, Ivotres. Thank you for rocking out with us. You know,
this
it
was
was
a lot of
awesome.
fun. I hope we do it again.
Oh yes, we'll definitely get another
About
topic.
spontaneous combustion.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. No, you don't really hear anything about it, but that's scary.
I am thinking about it constantly.
We'll do a countdown. The craziest spontaneous combustions. You know, countdown. Let's get it.
All right. Well, so thank you everyone for
All right.
watching.
Have
Bye.
a good one, Ivotres. All right, so we got her 2 out the way. So I guess I'll get with my number 2. It would be, let's see, the predictive programming. You know, with like, you know, like as far as we watched, like they say, The Simpsons. You know, we watch something on The Simpsons, and then it happens, you know, years later or, you know, months later, and they're like, oh, this happened on The Simpsons. They told us, you know, The Simpsons told us, or, you know, or this movie told us, you know, that 9/11 was going to happen, or that this was going to happen, or that, you know, like they were the concept that they put messages into our media, you know, prior to actual events actually happening, you know, so which scares the crap out of me because it makes me paranoid of everything. I'm like, all right, what am I watching? You know, because I'm watching I was watching Iron Man 3, and you know, some of the themes that were going on in there, then I turn on the news, I'm like, damn, this is like Iron Man 3 right now. You know, so it's you know, of course more serious, you know, serious things going on, but it's very like, oh, like what's going on here? So yeah, that's my number 2. That's my number 2.
I always wonder if they know they're doing that. Like, I wonder if they're like a modern, I guess it would be called a muse back then, or no, what are those people called where they could like tell the future? Like they'd write things down and
So like the fate.
a prophet. That's the word I'm looking for. Like, what if
Yeah.
all these like film directors or film writers are like prophets, but they don't know it?
Ooh, now that's a movie. That's a book.
Yes.
That's a
Yes.
Yeah, like you make a movie and it happens, but you didn't know. You were just making a movie.
All right. Well, we got a couple prophets in the building right now. You know?
Yeah, but and then again, maybe that's why some people make it, some people don't. Like they can probably tell who's a prophet, who's not. Like, you know what, you're not. Yeah, we're not feeling what you're writing. So
Yeah. But nowadays, anyone can make a movie. You can just
exactly.
Yeah, I think there was an episode of Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction like that, where the guy, he was writing, something happened to a ship, and the next thing you know, like the Titanic happened. You know, so yeah, it's always some spookiness going on, and that correlates a little too close to real life. You know? But what about you? What about you, Stitch? What about your number 2?
And number 2, it actually goes back to like electronics.
Ooh.
And I don't know how to make this make sense, but I feel like there's a certain energy, like a nature energy, that we should be focusing on. And I feel like all these electronics, like even when people are saying, oh, well, the TV is to distract you, I don't think they mean it's to distract you with what's on TV. Like that's a bonus. But I feel like the electric is meant to distract you. Because like sometimes I can hear a TV when it's on, when it's not on. You know, like
Right, me too.
it sounds weird, but I can hear electricity. In my bedroom, I can't have anything plugged in where I sleep. And even my phone has to be like under something on the like that's my alarm, so I need it. But it has to be like face down because if it is face up, I will feel that screen. Like it'll just nag at me. Anyway, I kind of other people must feel that too, and then I just wonder about all the energy. Like when you go into a store and there's like the bright lights. Like why are the lights so fucking bright? Why do like you know what I mean? Or like there's always music. Why do we always need? Why can't we just have silence? Like there's just no unless you go to the woods, there's no silence. And so I just kind of wonder like what are you hiding? Like what oh, we should be, you know, feeling this good energy and like the vibe energies of the earth, but we can't feel that because you got 5G jammed up our ass like everywhere we go and these satellite towers and I don't know. As I said before, they're up to something.
It's because the world ended in 2012.
Oh.
Yes.
Where those scientists tried to make the black hole. Do you remember they had like a big centrifuge or something and they were going to make a black hole? And I was like, shouldn't we consult the rest of the world about this?
Yes.
And they didn't do it, and then I heard nothing about it. So I'm like, it must not have worked. But I guess.
Oh my God. I feel that too, though. I feel it too, Chelsea. I'd be like, I can go in somebody's house and you'd be like, there's no TV on, but you can still hear something like something is on.
Like that, not even a crackling, just like a vibe, right?
I can be asleep, and if the TV's off, like I go visit my parents and all the TVs are off, I can hear when somebody turns the TV on. Not because you can hear the TV start playing. I can hear when the remote goes ching, and I just like my eyes go open like somebody turned the TV on. Like what's going on? You know, like it's weird. It's weird.
It's like a low static, like that static noise the TV makes when it's on. It makes it when it's off too. I'm glad I'm not the only one because I'm like maybe I'm just
no, you're not.
No,
like I can hear the lights and everything, and I'm just like it's too loud. Stop.
This is
Jaleesa hits me with that all the time.
All night.
What happened?
That's the most terrifying theory all night.
I think so. Because who's hiding what? Like that's what I'm thinking about now. Because you think about like when there's a thunderstorm, right? And all your refrigerator, everything is on, your refrigerator's running, all that. Then there's a power outage and everything cuts off. I know my cats freak out. Like whenever everything goes like deadly silent, my cats freak out. So it's like I don't know. It's making me think it's connected to your thoughts, Chelsea.
Well, it's like they're trying to make us need this, right? Like we just can't silence. The silence will make us go crazy.
Right.
Well, there is that thing too where if it's too quiet, like those I forget what they're called. There's a special name for them, but like those chambers where they put you in and it's like you're floating. Like if you are in them for too long, like you can like start to lose your mind if it's too quiet.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know because I've been in one of those tanks before, and you know you hear certain things like you start hearing voices and stuff like that, like auditory hallucinations and stuff like that.
Sensory deprivation.
Sensory deprivation. Yeah. It's wild. It's a wild thing. So thank you for that one, Chelsea. That was a good one. That was a good one. So I think we're down to number one. We finally made it to one now, So Mark, let's hit us with your one, man.
Oh, this is complicated because I don't want to sound like I'm being gibberish because it's so much. It's every time I look up something about this phenomena, I keep finding something else. I'm just gonna throw it out there, and I'm just gonna let everybody just say what they've heard about it. The Bell Witch. I know that's local, and I remember finding out about the Bell Witch when the Blair Witch Project came out. Now I was a junior in high school, and I was a librarian. I had never heard the Bell Witch until the Blair Witch Project came out. And somebody was like, I was trying to explain to somebody about the Blair Witch Project. And they're like, you mean the Bell Witch? I'm like, no, Blair, not Bell. They're like, you never heard the Bell Witch? And I'm like, No, there's no such. They was like, I said, who's the Blair Witch? They said, fool, it's in like what's Adams, Tennessee, I believe, or. And so I went and did a deep dive at the time, but that was when like the internet was first like on its legs, and all I know about it is the Adams family, the John Adams and his kin and all the stuff that happened with them. But that's it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, this witch pretty much whipped all their asses, and then on top of that, Andrew Jackson got involved in it and whatnot, and but it's always been like I don't care what I look about when I look it up. That's why I find something new. I don't care, um, Google, YouTube, anything like that. No matter when I look up the Bell Witch, I always find something like a new piece to the whole phenomenon. So I don't know if anybody's here heard of the Bell Witch, but that's like
Oh yeah, I've
close to
definitely
home.
heard. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know it was that. I didn't know the region though. I didn't know it was close to you though. That's
Mm-hmm.
wild. So when I come to visit, we gotta go on a Bell Witch hunt, man.
We can,
Don't
yeah,
do that. No, don't go
because
searching for witches. What's wrong with y'all?
I just want. I'm always up for a good time. I'm going to New Orleans, and just for right quick, I went to New Orleans. I was like looking for like the ghost trip, the ghost tours, the witch tours, and vampire tours. I'm like, I said, this the entertainment shit. Where's the real shit at? And then my friend was like, you don't want that. You don't want this smoke. And I'm like, but I do. He's like, we're not doing it. Enjoy yourself on this damn constructed tour we on now, and let's just keep it moving. So I'm like, all right, you know the city better than I do. So
That was a good one, Mark. That was a good one. What about you, Allie? What's your number one?
Glitches in the Matrix.
Yes.
I just heard too many stories, and Tyrone, you talked about this a little bit about, time is not linear the way that we think it is. And
mm-hmm.
I don't know. They're just like the glitch in the Matrix stories. They make me gag because they're so scary. I just like I don't know how to process time in a way that like time is happening in these very strange stories. So
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love
Yeah.
it. I'm the type of person who feels like the glitches are deja vu's, and I've been getting them a lot lately, a lot more than
Yes.
usual. Like I could be in a place, and it freaks you out because my whole chest just starts caving in.
Mm.
but what's the deja vu though? Like why are you you know what I mean? Like why are you having that memory? It's weird.
Because it's like, for instance, I could be in a restaurant, and I've never been to this restaurant day in my life, and all of a sudden my chest would start to like cave in. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, and after my friends would pick up a menu, he'll pick up the menu, and then I say somebody in a white shirt will walk by, somebody in a white shirt will walk by. I'm like, and then I just lose it. Not lose it like I go crazy, but I just lose that premonition or that deja vu ness. I'm like, and I'm saying deja vu, and they were like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I think I've been here before. And I'm like, you never been here before, whatever. They start go. So I'm like, no, I've been in this fucking location before. I've been in this particular seat, looking at this particular area. I'm like, no. And it'll bother me for like a minute or two, and then it'll just dissipate. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Mine are always way more random than that. Like the other day I was vacuuming and I told my husband, I said, I just had deja vu that I was vacuuming this exact rug and we've never lived in this house before. This is our first year living here. Like I was vacuuming this exact moment, like on this rug, this, Saturday before Easter, wearing this outfit. And it was so random. It's like, why am I having deja vu about a time that I vacuumed?
Right.
Wow.
See, shit like that will fuck me up. Like, oh shit. Ugh. Ugh.
See, I had a deja vu today. I was heating up Jaleesa some leftovers, and I was just like, I don't know, it was just like you said, random. It was a random act, and I was like, I remember me doing this before, like and it was, I don't know, you can't really predict a deja vu. It just happens. It just happens,
But what is it?
It's
Like,
the
are we
glitch in the matrix.
switching back in the timeline and then doing it again?
I'm not sure. Like I have to look up like what an actual.
I'm sure that's a
Yeah,
very scientific
actually, maybe,
explanation
maybe,
about your brain, but
But it's kind of like those like episodes of like I'm just thinking like Rick and Morty and Family Guy and stuff like that when they have like those simulation episodes and then they're
yeah,
constantly like doing stuff over and over again. And that's why when you say a glitch in the Matrix, I was like, yeah, I think those are just deja vu's. You know what I'm saying? Like you weren't supposed to have that like the record skips in your life or something like that. Your time. I watch a lot of Doctor Who too, so like in your how they put it in there, like your timeline, like it's
Mhm.
skipped a little bit, and it's like you weren't supposed to really, like it skipped in the future and it
Yeah.
sent you something to the past where you're in the past, and then it's kind of like you when you get there, you're like, I remember this skip. It's kind of like when you listen to your favorite song
Mhm.
when you had CDs back then, and you know
yeah.
exactly where it's going to skip. It
Mhm.
Oh
just
yeah.
yeah, it's just like damn, so
it's a good way
yeah.
to think of it.
Craig Dre says I be getting deja vu like that too. So it's not just a mini thing. Like it's a worldwide thing. The
Mhm.
whole deja vu
Mhm.
phenomenon.
What if one day
Glitch.
you skip and then you're just like born again? Like you
Oh,
start
that
from
would
like
be.
a
Oh
baby, you're
God.
like aware,
I
and
feel
like
like
exactly like everything we did up to this point, like it skips and you go to a baby and like everything happens the exact same way. Like
And
you
you
just
only
have
remember certain parts of it, the
I
deja
feel
vu
like
part.
that happens. We just don't know. I feel like it happens all the time.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
you're,
an old
yeah.
like those old fashioned Star Trek episodes. Like you have to like the ship blows up. The episode starts with the ship blowing up, and then for like the next 15 minutes, you're trying to figure out why the ship blew up, and then
Yes.
somebody has to send something back in time to tell the person to divert this so this won't happen. And it was that shit scared the fuck out of me. Oh, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit y'all with my number one, which would be the high frequency active or auroral research program, aka HARP, which they're messing with the weather and like natural disaster stuff like that, which I don't know, it just creeps me out because one of my like I know a lot of people have like nightmares about like scary things, spiders and snakes or whatever. But I have nightmares about tornadoes, so it's always this like whenever I have a nightmare, it's always a tornado involved. And just seeing how like in Dubai, they were they had like artificial rain coming down, like like it was real. They said it was real rain, but they sent something into the clouds, and then I did a little bit more research, and I've discovered that they can do what they call cloud seeding. So they just shoot chemicals into the clouds to help them produce moisture, and that's how. And I guess to like end the droughts or whatever. That's what they say. But I'm like, okay, so if y'all can produce this rain, then these random tornadoes that be popping up and just these random hurricanes that pop up every year, and it's December but it's 85 degrees and all this stuff, which I do attribute a lot of that to climate change. Like I do believe we are screwing up the climate, but I also believe that it's people out there trying to play with some stuff that they don't need to be playing with as far as the weather. And um also, I wouldn't put it past them to make certain seismic activity happen as well to push certain things. We just may not know what the agenda is just yet, but I do feel like they are using programs like that to, you know, make things happen. Make things happen. So the Heart Project, that would be my number. That'd be my number one. You know.
Mm.
So yes, yes, yes. Now, what about you, Chelsea? What's your number one?
Um, I went through them all just for my rambling. So I'm going to give you the elevator game. We're going to keep it fun and light. So there's apparently elevator game that all the young kids are doing nowadays. And you can go into an elevator and it pushes you into another world.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I just have to read the directions here because I had them written down here. So you're going to enter the elevator, either you and your friends. You have to have at least 10 floors. First thing, you're going to go to the fourth floor. And then you're going to go to the second floor. and then the 6th floor, and then go back to the 2nd floor, and then go to the 10th floor. And on the 5th floor, a woman will get into the elevator with you. Do not look at her, and we do not talk to her, or you don't talk to her. And then you go back to the 1st floor, and when you open up the door, everything's going to look the same, but you'll be in an alternate kind of timeline.
Oh my
Can
god!
we edit this part out so people don't cry?
No, I actually, I did do it with my kid in the elevator just to stress her out. And I pushed all the buttons. I didn't actually wait till the floors opened. I just pushed all the buttons one, because she's 6. She doesn't know what's what, right? So I just kind of pushed 5, 4, 3 random numbers. She cried, so I had to stop. And yeah, we got out, and then I kind of acted like a different mom for a bit, and then the joke was over. But yeah, nope, that is what you do. And apparently, if you do that, you can just enter a whole other world.
Wow. You know, I think I did see
That's
that.
a terrifying one for tonight.
Yeah, that has to be the thing.
Until the lady gets in.
Yeah, that has to be the closer. I feel like yeah, that's because how do you know? How do you know?
Right.
Yeah. How do you know that you're not in an alternate reality?
Yeah. Well, even if I was a demon or the ghost lady, the way to get people to summon you is to put it on the internet. That's a joke.
That's the new way of getting shit.
One of them, out of all of those, one of them's got to summon something.
Mm-hmm.
Entities these days have more power than our Bloody Mary from the 90s.
Yeah.
Just stand in the mirror and say.
Exactly.
Because look, if I got off the elevator and came home and then they're airing Lovecraft Country season 3, I'm gonna freak the fuck out.
How do you? Is there are there instructions for how you get back?
No.
Or you just.
I don't think so. No, you're just
back your new reality.
You're in the new reality, but you're not. I don't think this new reality. Let's see. Oh, some people claim when they look out the window, they see only a red cross in the distance. And you can stay in the elevator. But if you stay in the elevator, don't talk to the woman because she'll start asking you questions.
Oh my god.
Oh, what happens if you talk to her? This is more.
Yeah, that's it's very creepy. Don't talk to the woman. Now. Yeah.
Now I have to go online and look this shit up because I'm that asshole. I have to go look this shit up.
Oh, if you look at her, she'll follow you home.
Ooh. Oh no.
Oh yeah, they doing a lot. They're doing a lot.
I ask her, can I please binge Lovecraft Country seasons 2 and 3 before you do something to me?
Yeah,
to get back to. We're good.
You get off the elevator. They're talking about, all right, let's play it again. Biggie featuring Lady Gaga, and I'm like, all right, what happened? What happened? You know.
What happened?
But yeah, that concludes our list. Thank y'all for rocking out, with me tonight. 3 hours. Damn, I did not anticipate it to be this long. But yes, we got through it. You each had some awesome lists. I am honestly terrified by some of the things that were shared tonight, especially the last game. Yeah, that was very, very. I feel like I may try it one day, but I feel like it's one of those things that I want to try, but then again, I don't want to try. If that makes any sense.
We should all just FaceTime and get in an elevator and do it together. One of us is bound to wind up. One out of 4 times it works.
Yeah.
The FaceTime, somebody's FaceTime call drops. Be like, oh, we know which one left.
Well, I'd have somebody dressed up as a creepy woman on that 5th floor. As soon as I can get popping on in. Who's that?
Oh my god. That would fuck me up totally.
Oh, that's why I do it.
But thank y'all for rocking out with me tonight. Thank you everybody in the chat. Cray, Dre, in the building. Mike, thanks for stopping by. Nina, thanks for stopping by. Sylvester, Taymon, Mika, Jaleesa, Bobby, everybody. If I missed you, I apologize. But everybody, thank you for showing love tonight. This has been another episode of Evil Live. Had some very special guests on tonight. We had Ivotres Littles. She had to cut out a little early, but she was rocking with us tonight. We had the very awesome MarkOEstes, in the building tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Author, podcaster, MarkOEstes, just all around awesome person. We had Chelsea in the building tonight. Tales from the Stitch, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check her out. She's got some amazing products. She makes some amazing content. Also we got author in the building tonight, Allie, One Dark Alley. Thank you, Allie Russell, for stopping by tonight. Thank you. You guys were like I handpick everyone because I'm interested in what you guys got to say. You guys did not disappoint at all. So thank y'all for rocking out. And as always, it's been another episode of Evil Live, and peace, love, and horror.